do want you to speak, Ayanla, to how women need to, position ourselves so that we can be in our divinity, so we can have our crowns right, how we can create and not build, when some of us, quite frankly, feel that the men that are available to us, and I'm talking about across the color spectrum, across the age spectrum, trust me, I've done them all, they are not positioned to protect nor provide because of some of the statistics we just talked about. They're not earning the incomes. They're not having the resources, and some of them are not even showing up in the leadership.
Would you date a bus driver? Would you date
if he owns the bus? If he owns it. If he owns the bus.
That's the problem. That's the problem.
Now let's address.
Ma'am. See, these dudes kill me. That's what's wrong with this generation today. These young boys today, what do she bring to the table? The hell you mean, man? What do your ass bring to the table? You got a woman that can come to the table that can make another you. What else she need to slide up to the table with? What about your job? What happened to men who were supposed to be responsible? Do you know that it's our job to take care of a woman and some children, to have a family? That's our damn job.
You know what to do. Hit the subscribe button and become an official member of Club Shay Shay, where we do something for two something. Right here.
Thank you, Steve Harvey. Not really.
Steve Harvey was on that interview, dog, and they've been showing it a little bit.
I told you it was good. I liked it.
That shit was weak as a mother.
What? I like that interview.
How is this motherfucker allowed to give advice?
Man.
This is a goofy. He married that hustle money.
Bruh.
Everybody know it. You first of all, you've been married how many times?
Three
times.
Shoe shine used to cost a dime. A nickel could get you plenty. There was a time in the past where love was not necessarily predicated solely on having high status jobs. Many black men of the past supported their women at a very high rate by defraying or more or less deferring their needs by sending their women to college. But in recent times, Cynthia G and so many, along with Ebony Williams, have began to deride and mock black men along with their cohort, Themis and Thought, as they more or less assert or assume to place judgment on black men and what black men are worth. It could be argued that if many model women were a modicum of what women were in the past, meaning they were virgins, they didn't have kids by multiple men, and they had domestic skills to more or less help their man become the better version of themselves or himself, then it could be said that perhaps she would be more or less a recipient of having all her bills paid and getting the things that she so desired. But in modern times, so many have become so entitled and selfish that our average worker or blue-collar man is not enough. Is this consistent with black love or consistent with what our ancestors stood for in the past? Sit back, relax, and enjoy this show as I bring it to you live from the greatest state in the Union, the Tar Heel State. I need you guys to understand these are ages of masculinity and try to more or less minimize the effect. If it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, it ain't right. There are 7 steps that a man must go through in order to become optimized, and understanding how your masculinity is impacted by a selfish and entitled woman is paramount if you're going to get resolved in a time when masculinity appears to be eroded. Be well.
I got an itch in my palm. My girl, she know she the one. I put the ice on her hand. I put some ice on her arm. See me shining in the light. Know you found me in the dark. Talking how you wanna leave. Girl, you made this far. Taking trips overseas. No, I won't be long. We came up from the weeds. Now it's top floor. All these big gets on her wrist. VVS is on her neck. Make it spin and I don't stress. When I make it stretch. Double back to back then. Down broke, now we rich. Spend it on her, let her spin. Down with me to the end. That my best friend. That my best friend. That my best friend. I'ma spend it on on her, cause she all mine. Spend it on a challenge, cause she all mine. There for my first cake, then we hit on a cake. $500,000 on the way, then $1 million on the way. Eating good, full plates, eating good, say grace. Eat her up, get thanks. She got cake birthday. I can't waste no way, I can't waste no play. My girl, whoa, whoa, something like the baddest chick. My girl, whoa, whoa, came from the rags to rich. Hit the road running, I had to tell her I had to get it. She understood, but she spoiled, so when she get mad, she did up. All these big yes on her wrist, VVS's on her neck. Make it spin and don't stress. When I make it stretch. Double back to back end. Down broke, now we rich. Spend it on her, let her spin. Down with me to the end. That my best friend. That my best friend. That my best friend. I'ma spend it on her, cause she all mine. Spend it on a challenge, cause she all mine. All these big yes on her wrist, VVS is on her neck. Make it spin and don't stress. When I make it stretch. Double back to back end. Down broke, now we rich. Spend it on her, let her spin. Down with me to the end. That my best friend. That my best friend. That my best friend. I'ma spend it on her, cause she all mine. All these big yes on her wrist, VVS is on her neck. Make it spin and don't stress. Spend it on a challenge, cause she all mine. That my best friend. That my best friend. That my best friend.
Fire for your mind. Culture Clinician.
If it ain't seven, it ain't kosher. Heaven and hell, that's what they told you. Real men put the strap down and we can toss them. Young heads picking back up and young dolphins. This is our culture, now we talking kosher. Clinician, masculinity issues, absent fathers who miss you, mama drama don't kiss you, all a part of the ritual, this is how they get you. Separate the men, women clipping babies pretend to. Damn, lovers, haters acting like vultures. If it ain't seven, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, ain't right, gotta divorce us. If it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, ain't right, gotta divorce us. If it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, ain't right, gotta divorce us. This is kosher condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is kosher condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is kosher condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is kosher condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. Listen. Listen.
All right, guys, we'll have a good show on tonight as we talk about this ongoing saga with Ebony Williams, Iyanla Vanzant, and a character and a guy by the name of Themis in his YouTube channel, Themis in Thought. Could it be argued, guys, that when it comes down to understanding traditional heteronormative masculine men, that there's an onslaught and a war because there's an understanding when it comes down to understanding black men? And because of that, what can we learn about liberal policies and liberal ideologues that minimize and not understand the struggles and also the stresses associated with being black, or more or less being a black man in America? What can we learn from men like Themis that sometimes attempts to more or less defame traditional black men? And what can we learn from the conversation as some have accused Ebony Williams of being an agent of non-change as she seeks to more or less minimize the importance of blue-collar men? Get your pens and paper ready, guys. I'm going to drop some fire for your mind on tonight. We're going to have a good show. And we're going to talk about this more in depth. So hold tight. Hold tight. Can you guys hear me?
I got it in 10s, 20, 50, 100s, 10s, 20, 50, 100s, 10s, 20, 50, 100s, 10s, 20, 50, 100s. Left it to the bank like pedal to the floor, need no brake lights. In the dark, watch she make light. I'm a star, got no stage fright. Please don't get me mad, I'm a nice guy.
Themis appears to be an agent against traditional heteronormative men. He appears to mock traditional black men, and it appears that he's aided with Cynthia G and many of her minions as it relates to the struggles of the everyday black man. What say you?
20, 50, 100s, 10s, 20, 50, 100s, 10s, 20, 50, 100s. I get it, I flip it and continue. I've been going dumb, I've been going mental. Going up, I'm on another level. All black clothes like a medal. Little this and this, little Ricky Rick. It's my grandmama, I'm her Nicky Nick. I just wanna love, but I've been hit or miss. I might up and leave, never take a pic. Laughing to the bank like ha 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 ha. Laughing to the bank like ha 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 ha. I got it in 10s, 20, 50, 100s, 10s, 20, 50, 100s, 10s, 20, 50, 100s, 10s, 20, 50, 100s.
All right, guys, we'll have a great show on tonight. Do me a favor, share the stream, share the content. And this show is going to be dear to my heart because It's understandable that there's a percentage of women that denigrate and not understand the traditional man. But it becomes problematic when you have men like Themis that sides with women like Cynthia G. And I'm not shocked, guys, because many men, when they go to these liberal schools, if they're not careful, and if they have not reassessed their value system, then they tend to participate in some of the same pathologies as said of Cynthia G and others that overgeneralize men and masculinity and see men in a negative light. But what can we say about men that don't understand the merits of traditionalism? What can we say about men that don't understand the struggle of the blue-collar worker? DJ Envy and Vivica Fox actually spoke commendable to the denigration of a woman like Ebony Williams. And see, here's the crazy thing, guys, when some of these women start talking about what they deserve, they don't look at it through the lens of what men want. They look at it through the lens of thinking that they are the prize, instead of looking at it through the lens that men dictate and men determine what they want in relationships. And if the average, more or less, woman understood that when it comes down to masculinity and when it comes down to men, men are the prize catchers. Men are the prize catchers. And I say that, guys, because of this. Women look up to men to potentially get a ring or an engagement. So if she's looking up to a man to more or less be at a higher status, then how can she be the prize? And so women like Ebony Williams don't understand that your degrees do not equate to relationship symmetry when it comes down to a man. What equates to a man when it comes down to relationship symmetry is this. Can you be feminine? Can you be cooperative? Can you be respectful? Can you honor me as a man? Can you condition your feelings for the greater sake of that relationship? And are you willing and ready to serve me as your king? And when a woman does that, and she do it from the spirit of beautiness and also righteousness, men don't have an issue with giving that woman the best. But the problem is this, guys. You guys know it and I know it. There's a concept called relationship capitalism. And shout out to Peaceful Life for coming up with that concept. And I parrot the sentiment by calling it relationship inflation, but more or less what some would say, or what I would say, hoflation. And I'm being funny and satirical when I say that, but it's a problem, guys, because you got, as I said before in the past, some, not all, but a percentage or a large percentage of modern women that lack self-awareness, and they think just because they have degrees, that in itself is enough to make a man happy. And I got news for those that think that's enough. It's not enough. But in the meantime, before we go any further into this show, a special shout out to my man, Gregory Scotland, always showing love. Shout out to my man, Gregory Scotland. He says, salute kosher. Ebony has diarrhea of the mouth. She just can't be quiet. The more she speaks, she shows her feminism. Yes, that's exactly what it is. And we're going to get into it, Gregory Scotland. She bought Kevin Samuels and Pick-Me's. That tells a lot. No doubt, man, and that's a deal, right? I appreciate it.
Hello, lucky person. You
Gregory
got the
Scotland,
number right, because you are talking
but we're going to get deep into
a
it because liberal indoctrination has impacted,
oh,
sadly, many, and I would say a lot of our women, when it comes down to the greater conversation. And I chose the word sip, sip, because sip, sip is synonymous with tea. And you think about women that gossip, they sip tea. But also the word sip, sip can stand for, you got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me to think that a man would more or less align himself with women to denigrate them and to side with ideals and ideologies that are not consistent with heteronormative masculinity. But when you look at the guy Themis, Very intelligent brother. I think he's a lawyer. But Themis' worldview is probably more consistent with that of the alphabet community. And so I don't expect Themis to understand the struggles of masculine men and black men because they see our women as the victims, and many times they don't understand how the struggle correlates to the conversation of black men and black women long term. But the problem with these conversations is tied into cultural Marxism many times. And because of that, many times when it comes down to relationships, black men are always viewed and seen in a negative light. And, you know, sip doesn't help the conversation because sip is predicated in gossip. But there was a guy, don't know if you guys heard of him, but there was a guy in the past, and there was a group called the Dynamic Superiors. And, you know, he was very effeminate. He was one of the first openly gay guys back in the 70s from the Dynamic Superiors. But even this guy understood the struggles of economics, and he understood the struggles of a man being in America, especially a black man. But something is weird about when it comes down to how can I say it? When it comes down to some of these guys that are male feminists and these men that minimize the importance of masculinity in men in general, they're not cerebral and they don't understand the heartbeat of a man and masculinity. And because of that, guys, these men are agents against the cause of traditional manhood and masculinity in general. And not only that, one could argue that sometimes these men are dangerous because they look their nose down on the typical and the average guy. They say a woman got a right to say she wants a man of status, and she does have a right to say what she wants. But the reality is you can't marry yourself. A man got to be in agreement with marrying you. And many times they don't get it because they think, once again, that their degrees is solely enough. For a man like Themis to align himself with Cynthia G and Crystal and Carrison, even though I don't really care or look at their content, is problematic. Because, see, the greatest agents against true traditional masculinity are simps, and also it could be male feminists. They tend to be agents against traditionalism and masculinity. They tend not to understand what true masculinity means and the struggles. And see, the problem with this idealism, this ideology is this. Black men never had the power to oppress anyone when it come down to policy. We never had the power. We still don't have the power. And because we never had the power and we still don't have the power, men like Themis are castigating the plain black men in a negative light as being an agent of oppression instead of understanding that black men and black women had a struggle that was consistent with many. And that's a problem, guys. And so, you know, Shoo Shoo Shine was a very powerful song back in the 70s. And the song says, Shoo Shoo Shine didn't cost a dime, a nickel could get you plenty. That was the song back in the day. But now with rising inflation, now with rising other things, rising inflation and prices at an all-time high, you got average and subpar women that think they deserve the top or better men. And it doesn't work that way, guys. It doesn't work that way. You determine who you marry. And just like she want to set a standard on you or for you as it relates to relationships, you got a right to set a price on her as it relates to her chastity, as it relates to her value and being a support to you as a man, and also when it comes down to having kids by multiple men. But see, the problem is this, guys. She can have her standards, but you can't have your standards. And that's a problem. And with 33% of men being married, virgins, then what are those men going to get when it comes down to them getting married? And women like Cynthia G doesn't add to the conversation because Cynthia G has her own pathologies herself. Shout out once again to my man Gregory Scotland for showing love for the five. Gregory Scotland said, he said, the modern gay black man is different today. Yes, James Baldwin and Langston Hughes put black men first over their orientation. Excellent point. Thank you.
That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right?
You 1,000% correct.
That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right?
Because the guy from the Dynamic Superiors was an openly gay man. He was very effeminate, but he understood the struggles of black men in general. Now, guys, do me a favor, share this stream because we're going to get deep into the rabbit hole on tonight. But before we start, I'm going to talk about the lyrics. We're going to talk about the lyrics of Shoe Shoe Shine. And before we talk about it, does black love really still exist in these modern times? I would say no. I don't think that black love exists currently in the modern times. And this is a clip from that song or from my intro that I played a minute ago, so hold tight.
Shoe Shoe Shine used to cost a dime. A nickel could get you plenty. There was a time in the past when love was not necessarily predicated solely on having high status jobs. Many black men of the past supported their women at a very high rate by defraying or more or less deferring their needs by sending their women to college. But in recent times, Cynthia G and so many, along with Ebony Williams, have began to deride and mock black men along with their cohort, Themis and Thought, as they more or less assert or assume to place judgment on black men and what black men are worth. It could be argued that if many modern women were a modicum of what women were in the past, meaning they were virgins, they didn't have kids by multiple men, and they had domestic skills to more or less help their man become the better version of themselves or himself, then it could be said that perhaps she would be more or less a recipient of having all her bills paid and getting the things that she so desired. But in modern times, so many have become so entitled and selfish that our average worker or blue-collar man is not enough. Is this consistent with black love or consistent with what our ancestors stood for in the past? Sit back, relax, and enjoy this show as I bring it to you live from the greatest state in the Union, the Tar Heel State. I need
Shoe, shoe, shine, used to cost a dime, a penny could buy you plenty.
And that was black love in the past, guys. So let's look at the lyrics before we go down the rabbit hole and see the pathologies associated with women like Cynthia G and others and Ebony Williams that minimize the blue-collar man and think they deserve best. Listen, Ebony Williams is a public defender, and most public defenders don't make a lot of money, but they equate their degrees as being greater than you as a man. Share this stream, guys. It's going to be a good one on tonight. I'm going to drop some fire for your mind. And let's look at the lyrics to Shoe Shoe Shine. Hold tight. Let's look at the lyrics. Let's look at the lyrics. Hold tight. And that's why you men must continue to have standards. And the standards got to supersede her selfish needs. Now listen, this song was back in the 70s. I probably was about 4 or 5 when this song came out. And the Dynamic Superiors never took off. But once again, this guy was an openly gay man. And he understood the struggles of black men more than the man Themis, which is a male feminist in appearance. I'm going to say it in appearance. He appears to be a male feminist, and he appears to be alphabet. But I want you guys to read the lyrics and understand the lyrics. And this is what the song lyrics say back in the past before we go down the rabbit hole. It said, first of all, let's get one thing straight. All the things you desire will have to come late. Ain't handing you no jive, telling you it is what it ain't. Pretending I can do things that, I can't. But I remember. What this man was talking about, guys, he was talking about economics. He was being honest, and he was basically saying that in a relationship, things can be tough and bad before it gets better. But sadly, in modern times, there are modern women that think they deserve men with money and status. They look their nose down on blue-collar men that don't have the debt that she got. Because even if she got a job making $100,000 a year with the overhead and debt, by the time you take the taxes out, she's making 70. By the time you take out everything, cost and all of that, the woman that you got really don't have any money because her debt to credit ratio is too high. And so the dynamic superior said this, guys, listen. Shoe shine used to cost a dime. A penny could buy you plenty. A nickel was fair to take you anywhere. Troubles we didn't have many. I may not have much to speak of, but there's always be plenty of love. What happened to black love, guys? What happened to a woman that was willing to extol her man, to respect her man, and to show her man the level of respect that could have risen him to the level of responsibility and masculinity? What happened to women like that? And that's why we talk about a condition called hoflation. Because you got women that, you know, they've had a lot of fun. And a woman that was a woman of high virtue normally got all her bills paid. In the past, virgins got all bills paid. Virgins got rings. Or women that had low bodies got all of that. But now you got women like Ebony Williams that has passed her prime, or a woman that's past geriatric pregnancy, but you look at your nose down on traditional blue-collar men by saying that's not enough. But what are you giving that man? That's my question. That's the question. What are you giving that man? And because of that, some of you men are listening to Ebony Williams, and because you guys are listening to Ebony Williams, you have become suckers for love. Yeah, some of you men are sucker for love because you're still living in the past of yesterday. The woman that you anticipate and want, that woman no longer exists many times because they think their degrees is better than D. And many times men like Themis and Thought, or Thoth, whatever his name is, they tend to more or less make those women think their worth is greater as well. And this pathology associated with Cynthia G, guys, is very problematic because that mentality more or less minimizes the importance of masculinity. It causes you mental distress, and it makes you to have a low self-esteem because you're constantly shooting for the win. But you're going to ask yourself the question, what am I getting in return? And many times you're not getting anything in return. You're not getting anything in return. They don't want to cook. They don't want to clean. They don't want to support you in your mission. They don't want to honor you. They don't want to respect you. But once again, she wants you to pay all the bills. She wants you to be high status. And see, women like Ebony Williams don't understand that top tier men are not necessarily marrying a woman for status because he is the status unless he comes from a family where class was important. Many times a top tier men are married down for a woman instead of marrying up. But Ebony Williams and many don't understand economics. And even though Iyanla Vanzant was better, Iyanla is an old school ethnicist. And that's a problem. So let's finish looking at the lyrics. And guys, donate to the channel if you have not donated. Shout out to Gregory Scotland for being the #1 sponsor of the stream. Donate to the channel, guys, because these shows are very time-consuming. So the dynamic superiors also said, you might as well get rid of those crazy ideas. Rainy days will outnumber the ones you see clear. The picture in your dreams, no, they ain't the way it's going to be when you sit in your lucky chair, all you have is me telling the story out of glory. And so he goes back again and say, shoe shine used to cost a dime. A penny could get you plenty. A nickel was fair to take you anywhere. Troubles, we didn't have many. I may not have much to speak of, that there was always plenty of love. But see, love is not enough, guys, for the typical modern woman. Because the modern woman now practices something called carnal hypergamy. She see you as the end, the means to an end, if she don't get her needs met. And she'll minimize your masculinity and minimize your worth to get the things that she wants, because the modern woman, guys, practice carnal. And carnal hypergamy is dangerous, men, because it's exploitative. There's nothing wrong with a woman being hypergamous. There's nothing wrong with that if it's within reason. But if a woman got a right to say, I want a man to be tall, well off, and financially stable, then me and you got a right to say, you can't be ran through, you can't be overweight, you got to be feminine, you got to be respectful, you got to be honorable, you can't have kids by other men. Now, to the women that are fair and reasonable, I'm not talking about you. But I'm talking about women that got these extraneous standards and they don't offer nowhere near what they are expecting. Because many times to masculine men want women that are feminine, and they don't want women that have been more or less ran through. You can't ask for men to have the things that you want that man to have, but at the same time, you listen to an effeminate man like Themis that seeks to castigate and minimize masculine men. And so a lot of time, guys, these guys that are extremely liberal, even though I'm not, I don't care for either party, Democrat or Republican, but I do tend to be more traditional, and I tend to be a policy advocate more than anything else. But once again, the guys from the group, the Dynamic Superiors, they understood once again that family and realism was more sensible than what we see now. This man was an openly gay man. And he said, shoe shine used to cost a dime. A penny could buy you plenty. A nickel was the fare to take you anywhere. Troubles, we didn't have many. But we got a lot of troubles now, guys. We got a lot of troubles now because the average guy is not good enough for the average woman. And that's problematic. That's problematic when the average woman thinks she's better than the average guy. Consistent with Ebony Williams.
I want you to speak, Ayanla, to how women need to, position ourselves so that we can be in our divinity, so we can have our crowns right, how we can create and not build, when some of us, quite frankly, feel that the men that are available to us, and I'm talking about across the color spectrum, across the age spectrum, trust me, I've done them all, they are not positioned to protect nor provide because of some of the statistics we just talked about. They're not earning the incomes. They're not having the resources, and some of them are not even showing up in the leadership.
Would you date a bus driver? Would you date
if he owns the bus? If he owns it. If he owns the bus.
That's a problem. That's a problem.
Now let's address.
Ma'am, book a session.
And that's what we used to have back in the day, guy. We had black love. Black love was more than feelings. But see, when I hear people talk about love and community and all this goofy stuff, you can't have black love without the respect of the black man. You cannot have black love if you're not honoring and respecting your men. But see, you got women now that want black love, And you got male feminists that support that notion, but they don't understand that building takes time. And men that have put in the work, they're not going to pick up a woman that has not more or less supported them while they were on their ascension. Do me a favor, guys. Get the likes up. Donate to the channel. Share this stream. If you like what I'm doing, donate. Shout out to my man, Kevin White. Kevin White showing love on tonight. I appreciate it, Kevin White. Shout out to Kevin White once again for, hold tight, guys. Let's see. Kevin White for the Cash App. Shout out to Kevin White for the Kevin White for the 10. Thank you, Kevin White, brother. I appreciate it. And Kevin White, you and Gregory Scotland are the #1 sponsors of the stream. And Kevin White, thank you for that Cash App, brother. I appreciate it. Thank you for that Cash App. And in a minute, guys, we're about to go down the rabbit hole, so hold tight.
It's the money.
All right, guys, we're about to go down the rabbit hole. Let me get this clip up. But actually, you know what, guys? Give me a minute. Let's get this clip about Ebony Williams on Fox Soul. Let's look at this real quick. And Vivica Fox finally made some sense in this particular pronouncement. So, hold tight. Let me find this real quick. Because they did a good job breaking down the foolishness of Ebony Williams. They did a good job breaking down this foolishness of Ebony Williams. Well, I tell you what. In the meantime, let me go ahead and get back to this Themis guy real quick, and let's look at this video of Themis and how Themis is an agent to traditional masculinity, and how his worldview is not consistent with what men are looking for in traditional times. So here we go.
Are outraged, heightened, if you will.
This is fair use. This is fair use. This is fair use. This is for critique and for conversation and education. All right. So I want you guys to listen to this man because once again, I don't know what he is. He appears to be effeminate or alphabet, and that's his right, by the way. But y'all tell me what this man thinks is this woman that believes in male infanticide and this male feminist that's supporting this woman and some of her foolishness.
To recognize that she was saying the same thing he was saying. So I think without the rage, he would have understood that, like, in the beginning, you agreed with her. You just did not like the way she said it.
Well, that part really annoys me, and it kind of reminds me of some panels that you would have where they'll come with these unrealistic hypotheticals, like, oh, well, what if the bus driver does this? Well, what if it's a bus? The reality of it is most bus drivers do not have real estate portfolios that they own, or else they would not be a bus driver. So
and then look at this woman looking like Cleopatra with that mess on her head. and she said he doesn't have a portfolio. But what are you giving a man, Cynthia G? You're a baby mama. I'm sure you've had a lot of fun, and a lot of fun, what a lot of young men call. I'm sure Cynthia G has been dead. But Cynthia G talking about a bus man and a portfolio. And see, God, that's delusional. Because women of the past gave men virginity. They gave them domestic skills. They gave them respect. They were honorable. And they believe in family. And many times black men of the past put aside their own desires and needs. They sent their women to school, and the black men worked on the farm. But this woman is talking about a damn portfolio, guys. And that's delusional. That's very delusional. And in the clinical world, guys, we call that ego syntonia.
Who's driving buses and owning real estate? Like, real estate would just take you out of the bus driving field. You wouldn't do it. So I feel like that's silly. But like, we always have to come with these whataboutisms and scenarios that really don't exist and have nothing to do with the discussion, just to try to get a point across. The bottom line is, nobody put a one.
And you're right. Yeah, the word Themis is Egyptian. It is Egyptian. Beamy Man 22. The word Themis is Egyptian. I think it's the god of wisdom or something like that. But it is Egyptian. He's a lawyer, by the way, an intelligent brother. But see, that's what happens, guys, when you go to school. You can have credentials as it relates to pedagogy, but you don't understand the human conditioning, and you can't think critically and logically. Guys, share the stream, get the likes up, donate to the channel. Thank you to the brothers that have donated. Let's get back into it, guys. Hold tight.
In the chat box, if you aspired when you were younger to be a bus driver, I just really want to know, or if you know anybody who ever sat down and said, you know what? When I get older, I want to be a bus driver. Let me go to school so that I can be a bus driver. Like, yeah, right. Nobody aspires to that. And it's like, we can't be honest in the community. We have this so-called woke movement, everybody keeping it real, but everybody's lying. Bus drivers don't make a lot of money. You can say, like, somebody even put a comment saying they make in between, I think in Chicago, they make in between 57 and 154,000. How many bus drivers in Chicago actually reach the 154K a year, though? How many of them?
But once again, Cynthia G, you don't deserve a bus driver. The typical woman don't deserve a bus driver in America. My grandmama deserved a bus driver. My mom deserved a bus driver because my mom had what women of the past had. They were feminine. They were respectful. They were virgins. They didn't have children. And they supported their men better. But see, this is what liberal indoctrination does, guys. Liberal indoctrination take women outside of reality, and it makes them think they deserve better. And I'm not here, guys, to push up guys that are not responsible. But it's very offensive to me because my dad was a blue-collar worker. I was a blue-collar worker temporarily before I became a therapist. And it's problematic that men like Themis minimizes the average day hard-working blue-collar brother. That's offensive to me. And it should be offensive to you guys.
Like, no one has time to sit around for 20, 30 years to wait for somebody to finish bus driving so they can get a pension and some benefits that Ebony already has. Like, it's just ridiculous to me. It really is.
She did say something, and this is going to be the last note.
But Ebony is a public defender. And public defenders don't make a lot of money. But see, Ebony is conflating her degree and her debt with thinking she deserves a high-value man. But once again, Ebony's fertility is dropping daily. I'm sure she's been with a hell of fun, her share of men. I'm sure she got debt. And then Ebony also was getting down with a white man, which I don't have a problem with. But shout out to Obsidian. You can't sleep white while talking black. It doesn't make any sense. But you want a man to pay full price for something that's particularly or perhaps been severely used. And most masculine men are not paying full price for used box, man. They're not going to. And she don't get it, and many don't get it. You can't dictate the market. Men dictate the market. Relationship capitalism says the man chooses who he wants to choose. You don't tell the man your value. You must become his value. Gonna say it again. You don't tell the man his value. You must become his value. And that's the problem with the modern woman. You try to tell the man his value instead of becoming his value. Get the likes up, guys. Share this stream. We're going to get deeper into it. Hold tight.
On that, because I think DJ Envy completely missed the point. But and there was a lady at the end that just I couldn't. But she said, if bus driving is you maxed out at your potential, then that's fine for you. And I found that beautiful insofar as while I believe in the capacity of people, and I believe that we have a tremendous amount of potential, I also realize that I might have too high an expectation for certain people. So if you feel that you have maxed out your potential, then good for you. And I don't think I would never speak poorly on someone who've done their best, and wherever their best landed them, that's where they could go. But know that you should at least attempt in this life to get to your best, right? To try to. But
here's the problem, Demas. What is the best for a traditional heteronormative man? Once again, you must become his value instead of trying to tell him what your value is. Men are the buyers, women are the sellers. What are you selling? Because you can't sell a man something that's, severely used, but at the same time, you want a man to pay full price for it. Shout out to my man Top Gun for the 5. Top Gun said, salute to the chat, I'm late. Is this Andre 3000 Erica Badu spoon?
Hello, lucky
Shout out to
person.
Top Gun for the
You
5,
got
man.
the
I
number
appreciate it,
right,
brother.
because you
Thank
are
you, sir.
talking to kid.
Appreciate it, Top Gun.
Pure dynamite.
Also, shout out to MC Recovery and Relapse. She is super dishonest and angry about her choices. She's mad her father was on drugs and may have abused her. The guy seems to be from the ABC community. Yes, he's definitely alphabet, man. He's never more or less talked about it, but he appears to be a strongly alphabet. It's a force is strong with this one. And that's what happens, guys, when you go to these liberal schools. These liberal schools push their ideology on traditionalism. And shout out to MC Recovery and Top Gun once again. But they push their worldview onto traditionalism and traditional masculinity.
To provide that which your talent has to create something in the world. So I appreciated her for just saying, look, if that's...
And you're right to the guys that saying her father was on drugs. I agree with you. Cynthia G, in my opinion, is dealing with displaced aggression. She's dealing with unresolved issues from her past. And what she's doing, she's generalizing and castigating all black men under a negative umbrella. And because she hasn't properly healed, everybody she sees that looks like her father, she projects that anger onto black men. This woman is a woman that talks about infanticide, but nothing is never said about her foolishness and the thing that she believes in. But see, what happens many times, they can talk about black men, but you can't say nothing about them. They can challenge your talking points, but you can't challenge theirs. And see, guys, as I said before earlier, I'm apolitical. I'm not Democrat or Republican. Even though I'm a registered Democrat, I don't believe in the foolishness of the Democrat because their policies don't benefit the black traditional collective. And now all this liberalism is becoming problematic to the greater conversation of black men and black women, especially those families that are traditional.
All you have, good for you. Like, I appreciate that.
But it sounds like Ebony is looking for somebody else's best, not the bus driver best. And this is not even to like demean bus drivers or anybody who's in a certain field, but why are we acting like it's not a subpar position? It really is. Somebody has to fill it, but it's a subpar position nonetheless. And
But Cynthia G, you're subpar. You're subpar, Cynthia G. In the past, Cynthia G, you would have been a castaway. In the past, Cynthia G, they would have never even looked at you. In the past, Cynthia G, the average man would have saw you as a pariah. But see, Cynthia G, like so many modern women think, even though this woman's a baby mama, she's never been married, she's past her prime, she can't give a man nothing but the pain and the burden of her past, but you're saying that the bus driver is subpar. You're subpar. You're subpar. You had a baby out of wedlock. I'm sure you had a lot of fun, quote unquote, ran through. You're very toxic. You align yourself with those and them that more or less are agents against black men. But yet at the same time, you're talking about a bus driver subpar. Ebony Williams is subpar to a lot of men. Men are not impressed by her degrees and her debt. But you're looking your nose down on traditional, hard-working, blue-collar men. Make it make sense.
I felt like they were trying to unrealistically elevate this position that's not elevated in anybody's mind. That's why I put the clip of Tyler Perry's video where, because Lynn Whitfield's character was one of prestige. She was a wealthier woman. And so that is how people of a certain social status view other people in certain occupations. Why would you come in here with this bus driver? Basically, nobody sees it as an elevated position, but in the Black community, because we know that generally Black men are low achievers, they've already refused to do anything. Let's just be real. I think we know that they're basically saying we don't want to be any better than what we are now. We're comfortable. Because that's the dynamic. Then we need to somehow elevate low positions and act like they're not what they are. It would be foolish for Ebony Williams to get into any type of relationship dynamic with a bus driver. Like, how would she even meet the bus driver? Like, where is she going to be at?
And see, foolish women like Cynthia G keep other women single. It's foolish women like Cynthia G that keep other women single because they don't understand how Black men or how men think. But you notice how she's denigrated a whole collective of Black men. And I agree with you, Gregory Scholar. Guys, if you got to donate or comment, feel free to donate and I'll read your comment out loud. Shout out to Gregory Scotland for being the #1 sponsor of the stream so far. Thank you.
Where the bus driver is just going to be congregating where high-profile attorneys and reality stars, like how is the bus driver getting there to where she's at? Or is she just like slumming somewhere? Like, I just don't know where she will meet this man. And I feel like this is being done because they feel like she demeaned and degraded the average Black.
Gregory Scholar for the 2. He says Cynthia G had a child with a Dusty. This tells it all. Right, I agree with you, Gregory Scholar.
Hello, lucky person. You
but
got
it
the
makes sense to
number
me.
right, because you are talking
she
to
had a baby with a Dusty, but she talking about so
Pure dynamite.
Man, and is saying that the average Black man is not worthy. Add to that, she was engaged to a white man, so that makes it much worse. That makes it a lot worse.
So can we stay on that for 2 seconds? Because I'm always sort of interested. I'm trying to not lie, right? I'm trying to really think about whether or not I put value on someone's work. And I think I won't say yeah or nay because I don't want to put that out there in this way. But is it subpar to? I think DJ Envy was trying to say it's not subpar to make an honest day living, and I think he's probably comparing that to the alternative of, in his mind, the alternative. In my mind, the alternative is to do a lot better because I think we have the capacity. But I think in his mind, the alternative is to not do anything or to do something criminal. How do you respond? Do you respond to that?
Okay, so he's saying we should respect the bus driver because he's not a criminal at the end of the day. He chose to work rather than to engage in a life of crime.
What do you say like that?
They're mad at Ebony for saying what she's saying, but what are they saying if that's the suggestion? It's basically saying the only 2 positions you're going to see Black men in is either a criminal position where he's risking going to jail or probably has been to prison.
And you see how ignorant this woman is. Everything and anything associated with Black men is through the lens of pathology. Because she's a broken woman. She's unhealed. She has her own pain. She's delusional. And she continues to be an agent of separatism and an agent against the greater collective of Black men and Black women. But once again, a woman that's been ran through, a baby mama, and got a damn nerve to tell a man what he needs and deserves. And once again, guys, that's illusion at best. Get the likes up, guys. The robot said bills got to be paid. Thank you, guys. Get the likes up.
Or a subpar job like a bus driver. So it's so interesting that they'll get mad at Ebony and talk about you're hurting the whole community, but you don't realize what you're saying, what you obviously have to think about Black men for it to be down to, oh, you should respect him because at least he's not a criminal.
So is this weaponizing, and I will get to the video now, but is this sort of weaponizing mediocrity? So because everyone else is not as good, then you should be grateful that this one has a job.
And this is why I'm saying the herd just needs to be banned at the end of the day. The mindset is too prevalent. And yes, they think like that. They absolutely do think like that. I don't necessarily think it's weaponizing mediocrity. I think it's trying to repackage mediocrity as if it's not mediocrity. Putting sugar on shit and calling it a brownie. It's still not a brownie. All you did is sprinkle some sugar on some shit. The mediocre situation is still mediocre. Like, I'm so tired of it. I'm so tired of it. Like, I really just wish we could. The Black community is so embarrassing. It is so embarrassing. So embarrassing. But this is just problematic on a number of different levels. It just really is. I love your name, Wake Up, Makeup, Slay. I love it.
Sorry, I'm trying to be
Hold tight, guys. Do you guys see it? All right, hold tight, guys. Let me remove this for a minute. I'm going to put it back up. Hold tight. Let me add it back. Don't know what the hell happened.
Are outraged.
This is just problematic on a number of different levels. It just really is. I love your name, Wake Up, Makeup Slay.
I'm trying to not lie, right? I'm trying to really think about whether or not I put value on someone's work. And I think I won't say yeah or nay because I don't want to put that out there in this way. But is it subpar to? I think DJ Envy was trying to say it's not subpar to make an honest day living, and I think he's probably comparing that to the alternative of, in his mind, the alternative. In my mind, the alternative is to do a lot better because I think we have the capacity. But I think in his mind, the alternative is to not do anything or to do something criminal. How do you respond? Do you respond to that?
Okay, so he's saying we should respect the bus driver because he's not a criminal at the end of the day. He chose to work rather than to engage in a life of crime.
When you say it like that,
they mad at look.
And listen, guys, we don't take this woman serious because she's clearly ignorant. She would be a castaway in other countries. You can look at her and know she got some serious pathologies, man. Her name is Rosette. She look this old woman I know in the past named Rosette. But you can tell Cynthia G got serious issues, man. Our baby mama, look her damn nose down on men that make bus drivers that make more money than her. Make it make sense.
Ebony for saying what she's saying, but what are they saying if that's the suggestion? It's basically saying the only two positions you're going to see black men in is either a criminal position where he's risking going to jail or probably has been to prison, or a subpar job like a bus driver. So it's so interesting that they'll get mad at Ebony and talk about you're hurting the whole community, but you don't realize what you're saying, what you obviously have to think about black men for it to be down to, oh, you should respect him because at least he's not a criminal.
So is this weaponizing, and I will get to the video now, but is this sort of weaponizing mediocrity? So because everyone else is not as good, then you should be grateful that this one has a job.
And this is why I'm saying that her just needs to be banned at the end of the day. The mindset is too prevalent. And yes, they think like that. They absolutely do think like that. I don't necessarily think it's weaponizing mediocrity. I think it's trying to repackage mediocrity as if it's not mediocrity. Putting sugar on shit and calling it a brownie. It's still not a brownie. All you did is sprinkle some sugar on some shit. The mediocre situation is still mediocre. Like I'm so tired of it. I'm so tired of it. Like I really just wish we could. The black community is so embarrassing. It is so embarrassing.
But Cynthia G, you're embarrassing. You are embarrassing, Cynthia G, because you're a broken woman, and everything in your pain is projected to the average black man. Because everything you're doing, Cynthia G, is classic projection.
Do not arouse the wrath of the great and powerful Oz. I said come back tomorrow.
If you are really great and powerful, you keep your promises.
Do you presume to criticize the great Oz?
Classic projection and displaced aggression.
So embarrassing. But this is just problematic on a number of different levels. It just really is. I love your name, Wake Up, Makeup Slay. I love it.
Sorry, I'm trying to be professional.
It just is what it is. Don't
I'm trying to be professional, but you can't keep doing that because I'm really trying to be professional. Yeah, I caught it live, been watching the playback. Thank you. All right, so we're going to get into this video. Envy drives a Porsche while arguing for mediocre. Why are we ignoring class and intellect struggle? Yeah, I do.
And what these fools don't understand is this. Just because Ebony Williams wants class and status, can she get class and status? A man with class and status, Ebony Williams, is encroaching on over the age of 40. Her prime fertility years are gone. So you get an older woman, a woman that haven't had kids, a woman that's going to freeze her eggs, but yet you want a top-tier man with money and status that can get a younger woman with fertility and more youthful and haven't more or less been ran through. But you want to look your nose down on a bus driver. You should be grateful, Ebony Williams, if a bus driver want to be with you. And some of these men, because they got low self-esteem, they think that Ebony Williams is better than them. But a woman's degree does not make her better than you. I have 3 degrees. But having a pedagogy alone, guys, does not make that woman better than you. And once again, where's the black love?
Shoes shine, used to cost a dime. A penny could buy you plenty.
Who have an issue with it? I'm trying to figure out. I'm going to explain my discomfort too. Welcome to the membership. I forgot the name. So we're going to watch this. I hope you have enough time. Because if you don't, we can skip to the back. Because
I do have enough time. I have until about 6:30 here, and that's just because I want to lay up and rest. So that's all that is. But here's the thing: when they mention class, this is how silly their assertion is. What would it look like if Ebony K. Williams, let's just say hypothetically, she's married to this bus driver. He's still a bus driver. She's just somehow helping him build at the age of 40. I don't know why she's helping somebody build at the age of 40 when she's accomplished, but she's with this bus driver nonetheless. If she's going to these high-profile dinners and high-profile charity events or what have you, whatever it is going to be high-profile because of Ebony Williams' position. She goes in there and she introduces herself and say, "I'm Ebony. This is my husband. Oh, he's a bus driver." Like, what? Really? People gonna be looking like, "Bitch, really?"
No. Okay. So
people gonna be looking at her like she's crazy.
So I wouldn't actually care about them looking at her so much as I would care about him and how he would feel.
And you guys can tell that Themis is definitely a sip and a male feminist. You can tell his mannerisms. He don't embrace or more or less add to the conversation of traditional masculinity.
Feel in that situation, right? Because I'm not going to give that away, but I have seen situations where people feel uncomfortable and take it out and they don't know how to interact. Is it fair? And Ralph Richard Banks also talks about this, to take, he calls it dating down, to date down in this way and take someone who might be a better match to someone else on their level and try to force them into a social situation that will be literally uncomfortable for them.
Mm-hmm. Like he wouldn't even, I feel like a bus driver, let's look at your average bus driver. I mean, listen, I don't even think they would know how to navigate. Would they even know how to navigate in that environment? Would they even know how to dress to go into that environment? Like there's so many intricacies that is not being considered here. And I think it's not being considered because we're in the Black community, because everybody else understands that you should, look, you got a whole bunch of Christians out there. There's a Bible verse that talks about being evenly yoked, yet you want a millionaire woman to sit up with a bus driver. Like, how is that evenly yoked? But then Christians don't really go by the Bible. I'm not even going to get into that, though, because we all know Christians be sensitive. They don't really go by the Bible. It's a la carte. I mean, maybe they just decided they would discard that part like they discard Deuteronomy in the Old Testament.
To be fair, as a Christian, I can admit that I'm a la carte Christian.
Does it count if I spent most of my life as a Christian?
Yeah. Just Claire, thank you so much. I think some people sent some message, and let's read some more, and then we can go to the video. They want Stella got her groove back scenarios or Taylor Perry scripts. Also, it's a lead. He has a job so settled. Sin, have you seen the EBT video? I haven't seen the EBT video.
I haven't seen the EBT video.
Please send it. I want to see what
EBT
that
videos out here now?
Notice he made himself real clear. I'm not talking about me. Oh yeah, they will separate themselves, but Cindy said she won't use weaponized, but I do think it's a weaponizing of mediocrity. When you come out and you just graduate law school, haven't even taken the bar, and you say you're the prize, you're only the prize because you're comparing yourself to the other men in your group, and you look down on the other men in your group. So women should look to you as the best out of them because you're not doing well. I consider that weaponizing mediocrity.
Can I say something though? Because even with this Iyanla Vanzant video where she has this dude up here talking about would you want to date a bus driver, what irks me the most about this whole situation is in the comment section, I'm hearing people say, oh, it's not about her saying that she, wouldn't be with a bus driver. It's about her deeming everybody else who's not in her position as mediocre or less than. Didn't y'all have?
But being a public defender, and according to my man Prime VA, she's not even a lawyer or was a lawyer. It makes no sense. There are women from other countries that are lawyers and would love to be with an average working and blue-collar man. But once again, it'd be one thing if Ebony Williams was younger, she was a virgin. But Ebony Williams is a broken woman. She's living through the vicarious trauma of her mother. She probably has a hatred for her father. And she's a broken woman, to say the least, guys. And it's okay. She is a broken woman. Ebony Williams is a broken woman. And men like Themis wants the tea. And he says, sip, sip. But the question is, Ebony and Themis, y'all got to be kidding me.
Literally like a bum of a man sitting up in a suit in a dark room telling people they average at best and that they don't deserve a high value man and that they're going to die alone if they don't change this, that, and the third. And didn't everybody in the Black community nearly embrace him to the degree that BET was honoring him upon his demise? So let's not act like people got an issue with the words mediocre and average, because no, absolutely not. Black women were even co-signing that, telling women that because they have children, they're less than a certain demographic of men and less than a certain demographic of women. Talking about if women are 35 or older, they're used goods. But y'all got a problem with Ebony saying that a bus driver who really is beneath her economically is beneath her. He is. He will be socially and economically.
Someone sent a super chat on the end of this live that we're about to watch, asking that very question, and Iyanla said she's not about to engage with it.
Of course she's not.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hit Iyanla up and see if she'll engage with me. I'm gonna email and see if she'll have a discussion.
Men measure by how they earn a living. The first thing Brad will ask is, what do you do for a living? I went to a professional meet and greet thing for attorneys of color, and everyone there was married to a doctor or an accountant, or like the professional group married within the professional group. So yeah. And the last one, I need to see the video of Envy lecturing his daughter to accept less than he has provided, right? All right, you ready? You can stop.
I think DJ Envy said something to the effect that I'm gonna have to find it.
Shout out to my man Greg in Scotland. He said these blacks are seen as educated fools in my day. And I agree with you 1,000%. And you're dynamite.
Lucky
Thank
person.
You, Greg
You got the number right because you are talking to
Thank you,
kids.
sir. You're correct.
Dynamite. You're dynamite.
There was one interview that I was watching, and there was something that somebody asked him what he want for his daughter, and he said he would want something subpar for his daughter. I have to figure out what it was though, but I think he would accept subpar for his daughter. He absolutely would, based on what he said in the past.
Not my daughter. Let me know if ever you want to stop or anything. Just let me know. I'll stop it and we can talk through.
Okay.
Is because recently I sparked an international conversation by asking Ebony K. Williams what I thought was a very simple question. And that question set off a firestorm of conversations and debate that has had many twists and turns, so many that I think people forgot the reason for the question and the context of my conversation with Ebony. So shout out to my Soror Ebony and to all my AKA sisters. But I want to start right here. To all of the bus drivers, the UPS drivers, the FedEx drivers, to the sanitation workers and the EMS technicians and the postal workers, to the truck drivers.
Hold on, we're not going to put
in the bread that I.
What we're not going to do is put bus drivers and FedEx and UPS drivers on the same level, because actually FedEx and UPS drivers get paid significantly more than a bus driver would. That I know for a fact.
You want to know something? I'm engaging.
And these women, guys, realize and wonder why they're forever single. They wonder why the traditional man is looking for women from other countries. They wonder why men are checking out. You're talking about a subpar baby mama, guys. A woman that got kids by other men, a woman that's highly delusional, and a woman in my granddad's day and in my dad's day, my father and my grandfather would not look at a woman like Cynthia G because she was a baby mama, and I'm sure she was ran through.
With this from a different perspective, because I don't know what any of these people get paid. I mean, I could Google it, but I'm not.
To my knowledge, and anybody can correct me if I'm wrong, although I did work for UPS for a tiny bit of time, not for a little bit of time, maybe like a week or a month. But to my knowledge, FedEx and UPS drivers get paid pretty well. Bus drivers do not. So, and I don't care what type bus driver you are.
I mean, Iyanla did a whole thing where she said she would never marry again, and she needed an equal partner. So this is new to me. But
she said that?
Oh yeah. Well, this is. Let me pull that article up.
I love to the supermarkets, to the plumbers and the electricians, and yes, to even some of the Uber drivers.
And see, Iyanla, guy, she's an old school feminist, but at least she got more sense. But Themis and Cynthia G are more on the radical side. And their conversation does not add anything to traditional men. Most black men, or most men in general, are traditional. As I said before earlier, I don't care for either party. I'm apolitical. I am apolitical. But I am pro-policy. And the policies by the alt-right or the alt-left, or the alt-left, it's not consistent with our ancestors. Neither is it consistent with traditional men. Because a lot of these guys are externized men.
I would date you, and I thank you for being the heartbeat of this country. I really do. And yes, I'm a lawyer. And yes, I have a back.
Shout out to my man, James Turner, for showing some love. It's been a minute, brother. Shout out to my homie. He said, the nerve. I couldn't take this panelist or Ebony Williams anywhere near the people that I have former engagements with. And that's all on my business colleagues. And James Turner is big time. When I say big time, James Turner is big time. But you got women like this James Turner that their childbearing years has passed them, got kids by other men, but they want you to be a sucker for love. Yeah, I want you to be a sucker for love. Shout out to my man James Turner. And James Turner and Gregory Scotland, you guys are the #1 sponsor of this stream, and that's a deal, right? Thank you.
That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Got 5 on it.
Bachelor's degree, a master's degree, a law degree, and an Emmy. I've been on the New York Times bestsellers list several times for some of the 19 titles that I've authored. And
Her books are actually good, though.
Blue collar, hard working men out there.
I will say that what was most disappointing to me, seeing that discussion, is that Iyanla's self-help books are actually very good. I feel.
And see, Iyanla is so frustrated with these vagrants, even though she's an old school effiness. People like Cynthia G and Themis, they're radicals. They're radicals. They think like indoctrinated radicals. Because the way they think, my ancestors didn't think that way. We didn't believe in the foolishness they believe in now. That's why I said, guys, I don't care for either party. I am apolitical, but pro-policy.
Like her advice in her books versus her advice on her YouTube channel are inconsistent. UPS drivers start at 70K. Yeah, I thought that they did. I thought they were starting at the upper part of you nearly being 6 figures or nearly. But if they start at 70K, then yeah.
I was looking at my bookshelf back there. I have one of her books and I cannot find it. I've not read it though, so I don't know, but I do have one.
Apparently, Petty was a bus driver before being their custodian. Not only do they make bank, but he also gets free bus rides. Okay, well, kudos to you and your benefits of mediocrity, but still, mediocre nonetheless. Now, if you could upgrade to being a UPS driver, they actually do get paid money.
But she wants you to upgrade to a UPS driver for what? Why would a UPS driver marry Cynthia G, guys? Why would a UPS driver marry a woman like Cynthia G? Cynthia G doesn't add anything of value to a blue collar brother. You know, if that man want at least say 2 or 3 kids, that woman can't give that man 2 or 3 kids because she's older. Her womb is used. But see, the modern woman would tell the modern man what she wants. But to the 33% of men that are virgins, what are they going to get in return? Should those men that are virgins get virgin women too? Or should they get baby mamas that's been ran through? Make it make sense.
I was so annoyed when he was talking about people's feelings. They don't care about black women's feelings, so go cry. Yeah, well, the super chat that comes up and they ignore it about Kevin Samuels was really sad. Annoying.
Yeah, I would date you in a hot Mississippi minute. If, and here are my conditions, okay? If you're good to your mother, and if you are in good relationship with the God of your understanding, and if you take care of or have taken care of all of the children you sired, and if you treat me well, yeah, I would date you because I believe those are good ingredients. And if you have good ingredients, you can make a great meal. Together, grow together, build together, evolve together, create together with good ingredients.
You want to know something really sad? The fact that she actually don't want a bus driver. Because all this building together and growing, and it requires that you become more, right? So you don't just want a bus driver. You want someone.
You guys see how she's trying to push the narrative. Her and Themis are trying to push the narrative in a negative direction, guys. You guys see it.
To be more, and you're willing to help them build, even though you pointed out that women should not be, quote unquote, building.
Listen, Iyanla at 60, over 65 is not about to build with nobody, period. Like, who's in her age bracket, who's still building? You either built or you haven't. Iyanla ain't about to date no man who is in her age range and he's still building. Absolutely not. There's no way she's going to convince me of that. You ain't building at nearly 70. Like, stop it.
Yeah. If black women sell, the whole community will remain tied down for about 50 years. That's the goal. Look.
And those things that I mentioned, I believe all of those are good ingredients. So let me be real clear about why I focus or why I presented the bus driver. Because in my mind, a bus driver is an individual who is focused, an individual who has self-discipline and self-control. A bus driver will eat his food out of a paper bag while he drives, and he doesn't stop to pee unless his passengers need to pee. Okay, to me, that's
you see what I'm saying? Do you mind stopping it right here? Do you see what I'm saying? Where she's trying to repackage mediocrity. Nobody looks at a bus driver and says that person has discipline, that person has any type of character, except somebody who is.
And you know what's so sad about this conversation, guys? When you think about the farmers that built this country. Shout out to my man Machismo on TV. I appreciate it, brother. He said you're doing a good job with this analysis on these talking points. Thank you, brother. But when you think about the black men of old, the farmers, many men of old sacrificed their education and they sent their women to college. But once again, you got women like Cynthia G saying that these men are subpar or mediocre. But once again, Cynthia G would have been grateful to have a farmer in the past because Cynthia G is a baby mama. Cynthia G is not a virgin. And the exchange or the fair exchange in the past from a man was this: virgin, no kids, and also wife ready. But you got subpar women trying to tell progressive, educated men what they want and try to dictate to them the market. And once again, guys, that's not relationship capitalism. Shout out to Peaceful Life. It's hoflation. It's hoflation at its highest.
Probably generally failed in their life, and now this job is their last option. Again, show me the people who are saying that they aspire to be bus drivers. Please do find it for me. Because if we're gonna have a discussion, it should be like an honest discussion. And I honestly want to know which group of people, whoever in life, are aspiring to be a bus driver. And if you're not aspiring to be a bus driver, which I don't believe anybody else is, then it raises the question of why are you settling for the position of a bus driver? She's trying to repackage mediocrity, talking about bus drivers eat their food out of a bag. Like, there's nothing attractive about a man sitting in a bus, gaining weight, eating unhealthy food from a bag. There's no, absolutely not. Maybe for Iyanla, but then she's lying. There's no millionaire woman like Iyanla, and that's why she mentioned that part about having her own stash in the prenup, because she don't want a low-tier man to come and be able to lay claim to her wealth that he obviously lacked the motivation to accumulate on his own at the age of 65 plus, if it's for Iyanla, unless you just go be somebody's sugar mama.
There is a world in which the socioeconomic position that a bus driver occupies would be great for a specific person. I don't know who that person is, but to sort of package it in the way we just beef up our resume knowing we didn't do anything at the job. You didn't do anything on the job, but you just start adding in these action words in to make it look like you were managing top-notch projects. It feels very insidious because there's an underpinning of you need to accept this. This is a good person. This is the person you need to take. How dare you want more? And that underpinning is insidious because it's an underpinning. It's not said overtly. And I think that is dangerous. Like, I think if you want people to settle for it, say it out.
Shout out to a man, Peaceful Life. He said there's someone called box price control.
That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right?
That's a deal, right?
That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right?
With the term relationship capitalism. Shout out to that brother. He's 1,000% correct.
Right, so people can push back. Throughout this video, she is going to say, I am not telling you to settle. I am not telling you to settle, but you are.
How is she not telling her to settle? And she literally said verbatim, see, that's no, that's wrong. See, that's the problem. When a millionaire woman said she would not date down with a bus driver. So she is telling her to settle, because if the wrong thing is to not date a bus driver who, mind you, these hypergamous, gold-digging black men will look for women to marry who make more money than them because it will upgrade their socioeconomic status. Let's not act like the reason why black men are in the middle class is not because of the wealth and the money of their black wives. So Ebony will be dumb, and she's clearly not dumb, to date and risk either having a child.
And Peaceful Life. Pop on Peaceful Life. I want you to add to this conversation on Peaceful Life. Shout out to my man, Peaceful Life. Peaceful Life, this is for Peaceful Life only. This is for Peaceful Life only. Peaceful Life, if you can, man, pop in for a few minutes. This is for Peaceful Life only. No one else. If you come else, anyone else trying to come up, I'm not letting you on. This is only for Peaceful Life. But hoflation is real. Shout out to my man, D. May. He said, American women will never understand the value of a dollar. Little they know, MTA bus drivers make an average salary between $50,000 to $100,000, right? And that's by themselves. Shout out to my man D-May for the 5. Shout out to my man
lucky person. You got the number right, because you are talking to Kid a Dynamite. Pure Dynamite.
Even that man could then try to go to court, get equal custody of that child, and then who do you think is going to be paying child support between Ebony and a bus driver?
Not just child support, but also spousal support.
Yeah, child support, spousal support, and some alimony if she was, or a nice divorce settlement if she was to divorce him with this no-fault divorce, even if he was cheating. So this will be foolish it would just be completely foolish for her to do.
Yeah, I mean, she definitely pointed out a prenup, but the prenup does not cover the child support. So,
sure don't. And you can make a living off of child support if you get.
And see, women like Cynthia G love men like my man Themis. She loved men like Themis because Themis is not the paragon of masculinity. Themis appears to be an alphabet. He's not the paragon of masculinity, and he's very feminine. And that's his right. But see, a masculine man will put her in her place. But once again, peaceful life, if you want to, brother, pop on, man. But if not, no issue.
From a millionaire, y'all better go ask who's that chick that just had the baby by Tristan Thompson? Marla Nichols, as she's sitting on $40K a month, making more money than most people in this country. Please.
Black men are taking blue-collar positions and have high unemployment rates. Black women are typically the breadwinners in relationships. So why is there a need to bully Black women to lower their expectation when they're already low? This is a problem.
And see, what these fools don't understand, if every woman shoot for the high-value, high-tier Black man, that's only a small percentage. So even if every woman wanted a high-tier or high-value man, they couldn't get them in even if they wanted them. But once again, that man got to determine if that woman is high value. That man got to determine if that woman is high value. The woman does not determine her value. The man does when it comes down to marriage. Now, she could determine her value by herself, but she does not determine the sexual market value of what men are looking for in relationships. Only men determine that because water seeks its own level. And that's why men, you need to keep your standards high.
Yeah, it's true. Like, part of the problem is that the research indicates that Black women tend to marry down. They tend to take care of the man. Like Ralph Richard Banks, I understand now why they really hate him, because every time something pops up, I just say Ralph Richard Banks. Literally, everything is in this book. And it's unfortunate, but the reality is college-educated Black women tend to date and marry down and provide for the household at 60%.
But once again, listen to this fool, marry down. But is a man marrying down if he's not getting a virgin? Is a man marrying down if he's not getting a woman that's been ran through? Is a man marrying down if he's marrying a woman that got kids by other men? Is a man marrying down if a woman does not have domestic skills? Is a man marrying down if that woman is not a nurturer? Top tier men is not dealing with subpar women. And that's what people like Themis and Cynthia G don't understand. They don't understand how men think, especially top tier men with money. They don't get it.
Rate, which is equivalent to how white men provide for their household. That is a problem. Thank you. Let's continue. Again, stop me whenever you want.
Pays attention to detail. He has what's going on in the bus, in front of the bus, and behind the bus in order to get his passengers where they're going, to get them there safely. So that tells me I can trust the bus driver. And in my mind, these are all good ingredients. So yeah, I'm attention. And that's why we're here today, because I want to continue and expand the conversation of love with conditions. Why we use, or should we use, status, income, and position as the criteria for dating and mating. How do we do that? Why do we do that? And most important of all, is it working? Hear me.
Did she just ask how do we use status, income, and position as the criteria for dating? I thought that's what everybody everywhere, historically and presently, always based dating and mating and marriage decisions off of. She's asking because we're in the Black community and we're operating outside of the norm. The norm is to judge your mate and your potential husband for a woman, not based on whether you love him, but whether he can provide for you. What is his position? What is his socioeconomic status? What is his position in society, basically? How much money do we got? So this whole...
And God, this is what a matriarchal culture looks like. You got baby mamas like Cynthia G trying to dictate to men what they should get in a relationship. That's a problem. Shout out to my man, Peaceful Life, man. That Peaceful Life always causing chaos. Peaceful Life, what's wrong with this conversation, dog?
From the jump, from the door, the question is who we talking to in the first place.
Right.
Because this brother up there looked like he hasn't he hasn't visited a box in his entire life. In fact, he prefers his entries through the back door. And look I see all I see is brown sugar and syrup just flowing from his skin. He's just shaking on brown sugar. What the hell is going on? What do you got me watching here, Kosher? Shoot, what are you trying to do here? Our forefathers is turning in their grave watching this. This madness, this foolery. How the old people would say, this foolery we're watching here. What the hell is this? Oh my God.
Hey, Eagle, turn your light off, man. I can't see you, man. You call your ass a vampire.
I gotta stay in the dark. Look what you're watching, man. You get back in the dark, man.
Shout out to our man Gregory Scholar for the two. He said black men make more money and we invest better. And I agree with that. But Ingram, hearing this foolishness, man. I don't know. Hearing this foolishness from my man Themis. It's just not the epitome of a male feminist, in your opinion.
Man, this dude, if some vaginal fluid was to touch his skin, he would drop dead. This dude don't know nothing about no woman or no, whatever. This dude is straight up sugary. But the reality is that this is the type of conversation you have. Two hyenas talking about the issues that affect heteronormal black men. Heterosexual men. This dude who don't even have a taste for box, and this old worn out hyena. And this is the type of nonsense that people are tuning to on the internet. Look at this broad. No one's consuming that. Yeah, that's a miserable cat lady. So, and this is what happens with our society. You have someone like that will have a channel with a million followers or whatever the hell, because that's what those hyenas tone into.
Right.
And, and the real issue is the attack on truth. And really the removal from reality. I mean, look at that. Look at them. I mean, this is an abomination. It's madness.
Yeah, it is madness, man. And that goes back to our conversation with what we call, or what I call, hoflation and relationship capitalism. What I find problematic piece of life is this. Women like Cynthia G think she did take the market. But I keep saying over and over again, you are not the market. You got to become the market for the man, not the market based on what you think your value is. You might you might have value within your own self, but her sexual market value is through the roof. In the ground. What's your take on that?
Well, that's the problem with that. They equate in their mind their own personal achievement in terms of career goals and whatever else as value to the market for men, and what men value is valuable. And we know it for ourselves. We know it ourselves. Many of these women have enjoyed sexual liberation from the time they were in college, and they don't understand what men value as virtue. So regardless of what your achievement is on the academic level or even a professional level, that matters, because we've talked about it before. That took a lot of hard work.
Right.
We're not begrudging any woman for achievements in her life, but we're talking about the sexual and dating market value and what men value as wives. See, we've structured this in a modern society to equate value, trying to change the value, like men and women are the same, and trying to make it seem like, well, women and the status level it translates into value in a man's eyes. And that's what Cynthia G is not understanding. In the world of men, she's about as worthless as tits on a bull's ass. And this dude over here, all he's interested in is traveling the brownie road. He's a fudge packer. So what is really his opinion matter? Look at this dude. He is softer than cotton candy. This is who's representing the voices of men in the community right now. We're done, man. We're completely done. This is what
the views, the comments, is not consistent with.
It doesn't. Yeah, these views are personal to a peaceful life.
Yeah, these are peaceful life views. So I didn't say it. Peaceful life said.
Yeah, but I'm saying this is what representing the voice of the community. Right. We're done. We're done. Think about it like this: if the community, if they call themselves a community, was attacked, is the dude that you want defending you, or do you want a dude like me and Kosher defending? That's what women got to ask themselves.
Right.
Do you want that dude protecting your community? One backhand slap and that dude will curl up and take off running and hide in the garbage bin somewhere in an alley. That's the dude who you want. That's the dude who that's what women got to ask themselves. You got a hyena who's completely useless, and you got a dude. That dude is not going to defend anything. First of all, if he breaks a fingernail, he'll bust out crying. If that dude breaks a fingernail, he crying, and one slap to the stomach, and he's just on the ground just whining. That's what women don't understand, that when you allow the community to become feminized like it is now with these soft men, you leave yourself vulnerable to being completely destroyed.
Oh yeah, I totally agree with you, man. And like I said, we didn't see this in our generation, Gen X, man. I mean, it was there, but not at the level that it is now. This stuff is appalling, man. And Iyanla is an old feminist, but she's nowhere near as radical as these two.
Notion that this is somehow inordinate for women to think about these things primarily is only something that we see being presented to us in the Black community. Everybody chooses mates. That's even with arranged marriages, you have to pay a bride price.
The unstated part of this that you're picking up on, I think, is the Black community is positioned differently, and so we have to, quote unquote, work with us, the men. And I think that's the part that she's not saying out loud, where we now need to understand, is there something preventing Black men from living up to their highest potential?
Well, no, female, she did say it.
But hold on, but living up to their highest potential for who and what?
Right.
It's one thing, England, to live up your highest potential if you're getting a virgin, or she got low body, she's wife ready, she's disciplined, and she understands her position in helping you build your kingdom. But you want Black men to live up their highest potential for baby mamas and chicks that's been ran through. Does that bother you, man? Chicks like Cynthia G, I'm sure been ran through. And, and a baby mama, but damn, she's talking about men being at their highest potential. Go ahead, man.
Well, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to rewrite the market. And that's why I've been like price control for these last 2 weeks or so, since I came back from the land that smiles. I've been price control out here because think about it. They're trying to control the market and dictate the market. And somebody should ask this gentleman that she's talking to, would he date a bus driver? I'm sure he has no problem with it. He'll take him any way he can get him.
He's a lawyer, man.
It doesn't matter. He'll take him any way they can get him. It don't matter. It don't matter. He said, "I'll date a bus driver, buddy. I don't care, Cynthia." He didn't ask him that personal question because he would. But back to her. It doesn't even like we don't even get in Alphabet's business. Like he all in our business.
Right.
Playing for our team.
Right. I agree with you. You all in masculine men business, man.
Oh man, with his hair pulled over. Like he's not even playing on the team. But here's the thing: if you cannot live up to the standards and expectation of men, the quickest way to play this mind molestation is to redirect it and change the standards and expectations as to try to make their own personal achievement a value to the table that distracts or takes away or from that used box. Like that's like, okay, my box is used, but I'm educated and I have money and whatever else. But that's not what we care about, because we know that in a relationship, you're not giving us any of your money. You're going to try and consume. You're going to take your money for you and our money for, or my money is for us and your money is for you. And you're going to try and do like how Anna said and keep your own separate bank account and all that other stuff. And that's the way it's going to go. So you're expecting a man to pay most of it. Look at Lisa Ray. All the money Lisa Ray made, she's still out here bitching about alimony from her ex-husband and why she didn't get the money.
Right.
What's the point of this then? So, but at the end of the day, what are men getting?
Nothing.
I don't see any value over there with Cynthia G. Could you imagine listening to Cynthia G for a day or two? That's self-deletion. I mean, you're not going. I mean, come on. Imagine taking a ride in a car for 2 hours with Cynthia G. You're done. You're done.
No, I totally agree, guys. I totally agree. Hold tight.
Got an original one.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
said that the criteria that we use to measure men
God.
off of. She said the criteria that we use to measure men is off for who we are as women and who they are in society. So she may not be saying it in this one, but she definitely said it in the other one. We should be choosing Black men not by whatever qualities they have that would be beneficial to, quite frankly, a functional union and a family, but based on their position in society. It's like, yeah, right. Maybe they should be elevating their position in society. No, we need to stop choosing them until they choose to be in a better position in society, not cater to it.
Oh my God.
The wildest.
And she does she not sound like an idiot? If every man aspires to be at the highest level, then who's going to be the basic primary worker? Everybody can be the chief.
Exactly.
Everybody can be the top dog. So if every man is the top dog, then what is that man getting in return if the majority of the women in this society, white or black or whatever the color, are not traditional women? They're not virgins. Many are ran through, and many got issues. But you want a man to take his hard-earned damn money and pay for something used. And think about that 30% of men that are virgins. What are they getting in return? Nothing.
Yeah, and we're
They're not
talking
getting
about
anything in return, man. Go ahead.
We're talking about some basic women here. We're talking about some basic looking women with basic bodies. Some of them have square bodies, rectangle bodies, triangle bodies. And they're talking like they are supermodels out here. These are basic women. And that's how much we have inflated, or they have been trying to inflate the market for women and what they think is valuable, based in this society and this culture that's very government empowered, that is very woke, that is very welfare minded towards women. They would not try this in a patriarchal culture, in a patriarchal country that's not government empowered, because then they'll really see the real value of having a man. When you have to call the police and the police don't show up for a week, and when they show up, they pissed off because you called them and disturbed them for some stupid stuff. See, they feel safe, and she's able to have this conversation with sugar buns over there. She's able to have this conversation with sugar buns over there because men like you, me, and the men in the chat protect her. That's why.
No, I totally agree, man. I totally agree. Brother Terrence, I don't know if that's you in the back, man. I said only, I don't know if that's Terrence or not, but I only said Peaceful Life come up. But I'll bring you in a few minutes, man. But I think I said only Peaceful Life. But hold tight. Let me play a little bit. Hold tight. But I need to see you in the background first, brother. I don't know who you are, man. Just want to make sure it's you. All right. I'll bring you in a minute, Terrence. I'll bring you in a minute, brother.
Woman, thank you so much. There's a ton of super chats that came in. Iyanla is grifting. Well, I didn't know, today was the first time I knew she had a channel, so we'll see where that goes, but thank you so much. Court says, Iyanla is gaslighting, though, because she is trying to establish her authority to a firmer position in the debate. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the end result that the people are looking for. If she's going to talk about her ex-husband and how abusive he was, which we'll get into when it gets there. I'll read the super chats in a minute, and because I wanted to get through the intro and when she brings on this man.
Everyone is entitled to this and their standards. And what happened was, when I asked Ebony that question, she said only if he owned the bus. What's the standard? Let him own the bus company. Because if that one bus breaks down, y'all are done. Just like if the lawyer or the doctor or the dentist loses his job, breaks his arm, can't practice anymore. So if everybody is entitled to or has their standards and their preference, but are they working? And are the standards now obsolete based on the conditions and the realities that we face in the world? Are the demands that you're holding for someone else to live up to, are they working to get you what you say you want? So that's the question.
Is she really sitting here saying that our standards should be created based on their position in society and what's going on in the world? Because I literally think she just said that.
Oh, God.
Is this woman delusional?
Oh, my God.
This woman got to be delusional, Peaceful Life.
She's completely out there. And the problem is that she has so many women that are falling behind her and listening to her. I mean, it's like this is worse than Steve Harvey, because, I mean, he's terrible. I mean, but imagine how many women's lives that she's ruining with this type of hyena mentality, right. This type of non-compromising, radical, ridiculous, radically feminist mentality that she has here, and getting a man that does not represent any of us, that are the type of man that's what she's going to want to date, or what women are going to want. Women are not trying to date this guy. He's competing in the same market for men. He's looking for a good man. Those women are single looking for a man. He's looking for a good man. So how, he's almost like a competitor. She's talking to a competitor on the stage because he wants a good man too. So that's what the issue is.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's crazy, man. Hold tight.
It's like, no, lady, people don't choose their standards. Then we just don't have any standards then. That's probably why we don't have any standards, because we've been doing that. We've been basing our criteria for black men on the single fact that they are black, not based on what they can actually do, how they can as a father, as a husband, as a provider and a protector. The only thing we've been considering is their blackness and their position in society. That's all we've been basing our criteria off of now. And that's why we have no standards, boundaries, and expectations. And that's what's not working. See, Iyanla can sit here and say, well, this doesn't work, but what is this? Because you're surely not going to say that black women have some standards.
But don't she want black men to base their love for black women based on their blackness as well?
Exactly.
That doesn't make any sense.
The hypocrisy of it is ridiculous. So what black men in general are the ones that have some of the lowest standards out here. I'm sorry to say it, but I've seen some brothers with some bust downs and some big women and some not. If you like the big women, that's your prerogative. But some women, that black men will get married to a woman with 4 kids from 3 to 4 different men and wife them up and talk about my boo. Women that are just made no effort to walk 1 mile on the treadmill. And black men will be walking with their hands intertwined with these women. Black men are low standards and have accepted mediocrity from our women, because we talk about that simp bug that's been planted in black men since the days of the plantation to take care of other men's responsibility. We're the most egalitarian men out here. And that is the truth. The problem is that she's reversing that psychology and trying to project this image that black women have been accepting less. When black men have been accepting less. Right. I mean, in terms of weight standard, in terms of conditions where other men's kids, in terms of rampant promiscuity brought about by them accepting feminism and sexual liberation out here that have caused them to create an environment where you have all these baby mamas out here. We're talking about 67% of the women, like in the age 30 range and above, that have kids on another man's kid. And the guy that they probably had the baby by is not even on the level of the men. That's not even on the level of the men they're trying to achieve or the man that they want. So really, what she's doing is talking in reverse. It's the black men that have an issue. And I always get on the brothers for accepting low standards from our women, because these dudes sometimes they've experienced it in their family, they've experienced it in their history, and they're quick to sign on and accept mediocrity from our women. And that's the problem we have now. The absolute opposite is the problem.
No, I totally agree. Hold tight.
Expectations that they do not have. Most black women have none, don't know how to establish any, and lack the self-love and self-value and willingness to be alone to even implement some standards, boundaries, and expectations. Because if you're going to apply your boundaries, you have to be willing to walk away from a relationship if that relationship doesn't serve you.
You don't
Most
have
black
a
women are not
boundary.
there.
You don't have a boundary if people can just pass it. Like, you don't have a boundary. If people, like, it doesn't make sense. And the idea of the bigotry of low expectation keeps coming up in my mind, and I'm trying to rationalize it from a sociological perspective, which is this a racist underpinning and trope? And what does that mean? But it does feel like they're settling for saying that the men cannot be better. That's where it is, and I don't know how to reconcile my feeling that it is true and the feeling that is this what white supremacists say.
Well, that's why I laid it out in my video. You know, what's the difference between white supremacists saying that black men are incapable of producing, they lack the intellectual fortitude, and the only way that they will actually build something is if they're forced to on a plantation where a man of no color is managing them. What's the difference between that and what Iyanla is saying? Iyanla is simply saying, well, they're low performing because of the society that they're in, and white supremacy is saying,
don't this woman sound like a fool?
Well, I sound like a complete idiot. Because here's the problem. I think black men are really doing pretty well. Right. And the irony of it is, I think even Dr. Umar, even though I've had beef with him, really talk about the educational system right now, what's valued. If somebody has a certain type of degree or whatever else, a lot of black women that have a lot of student loan debt, they're financially struggling right now. And these men that have gone out there and realized that everybody is not going to, that the value of certain degrees and certain college education don't translate in economically. So they're realizing that many of them are better off getting a trade, a technical skill, or a license or certification, and they can make money out here. So guys are making a lot of money with the trades. You call a master plumber to come to your house, you have $500,
right?
$300 to $500,
right.
So
right.
you're not going. A social worker is not making that for just to show up somewhere. So what she's equating education or college education with success in life.
Right.
Because I know a lot of brothers that own certain businesses or doing successful, they don't have trades, have skills, are investing their money, are saving their money and investing them. But when you look at them and they equate, she's not really going in depth. What if that bus driver also is owns real estate and is investing and has other things going for his life?
Right.
So you're making this status, you're creating this world where status is based on other cultures do not do that. And many can make an argument that some parts of college actually handicaps people from becoming successful, wealthy,
right.
successful business owners. So that's what something that even Dr. Omar got into, where the education of this conversation, what we're talking really is about superficial status based on an educational label, a degree, not about what is status and real in the real world. Because if you're going to a car dealership to buy a car, the dealership don't ask you what your education is. If that guy is a successful business owner and he was a high school dropout, I'm a big pro education guy. But if that guy is a successful business owner, let's say he has a high school diploma, you can have a PhD all you want. But if he can afford to buy that $100,000 car and you can't, your PhD don't mean nothing to the bank.
Right.
It don't mean nothing to the car dealership either. Mm-hmm. And that's the miseducation of our people, because sometimes we have a lot of educated dummies like this one, equating their degrees to actual value in life. And that's the problem that we have with that. Then with this whole conversation which she's having.
Right.
And they're trying to turn it around because obviously she hates black men, to try and shame black men to make we're just these bum underachievers and this and that. You know, it's a whole bunch of nonsense. Any tactic or strategy they have to take men out. Warren Buffett himself has said that many kids would benefit just from getting a certification.
Right.
And he's a billionaire. So what is she talking about? Is she smarter than Warren Buffett?
Mm-hmm. I totally agree. Hold tight.
Is because of their genetics, but ultimately they're coming to the same conclusion. This is why I say black male worshipers essentially hate black men. You have to think very poorly of them to think that women should cater their standards and expectations to the position of the man in society, rather than just using those standards to push him and propel him to be in a different position. You have to hate him, and I suspect that they do hate him. I think that they're trying to keep black men in this NAB position so that they will have more access to him. I really think that's what it is. This is the way.
No. You can just say that, and I can't.
Nothing else, bitches. Okay, girl.
No, wait. Is it insecurity? This is not saying it's true. I'm just saying, based on what you just said, would that mean that these women, who I think you would call,
Brother Terrence, in a minute, I want you to add to the conversation. But you know, real quick, Ingram, what happened to this?
Shoe shine, Mr. Costa, a penny could buy you plenty.
What happened to the so-called black love? You know, this guy back in the past to make the song, it was called Dynamic Superiors. Right. And the guy was a flaming, I'm homosexual. But he understood that everything you wanted, you couldn't get. He said, shoe shine, didn't cost a dime, a penny could get you plenty. But now these chicks now in modern times are nowhere near like the woman in the 70s. They didn't have nowhere near the virtue of the women in the past, even though they were getting bad in the past. But now they're demanding that you come to the table, and they're looking their nose down on the average guy. Terrence, I would like to add to the conversation, brother. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Great show. You played the wrong songs. The songs you need to play are on the 1976 album from Rolls Royce, where the female Mary Blige remade it. She's singing "I'm Going Down," and that's the black woman's announcement that she's going down. She's leaving her womanhood to find a white man, and she's leaving us. And there's another song on there called "Love Don't Live Here Anymore." Love don't live in black people anymore. Love don't live in the black woman no more. So,
well, I'm not gonna castigate all. I ain't gonna castigate all black women. But for the sake of the show, that song was appropriate for me, because that song was predicated on a time where, you know, shoe shine didn't cost a nickel could get you plenty. This man that was a flaming homosexual understood. That he understood the economy back then, but you look at the flaming homosexual of the 70s compared to now, they got information from Saul Alinsky book Rule for Radicals, and it's crazy to say the least. But go ahead, man. Go ahead.
No, you say don't say all. There's a video that just came out by Medium Man, and he said that to find a black female slim, in shape, and without children, you have a 0.7% chance. So you don't have to say all. I don't have to say all. Reality and statistics say all these black females.
Well, I don't say all, man. That's overjoyed. I met a young lady yesterday that was a virgin. You know, she didn't have no kids. She's highly educated. So I'll never say all.
That's that 1%.
But sadly, more than less. I would say more than less, because overgeneralization says all. There's no evidence to say 100%. My daughter is not part of that. My girls are not part of that. I know young women are not part of that.
1%.
But however, there is a great percentage. You know, more than, put it this way, more than average. We'll say more than average. But shout out to Shanti. How you doing, sis? But go ahead, Terrence. Go ahead, brother.
Yes, sir. And nobody has pinpointed the lesson from Ebony Williams yet. And the Bible for the Muslims is the Holy Quran, and in the Holy Quran it says there's a lesson in all things if man would be mindful. We hadn't learned the lesson. The lesson is nobody's hit the main point, and that main point is she says, why did she say she wouldn't date a bus driver?
Right.
She said she wouldn't date a bus driver because she was saying that she is superior to a bus driver and black men. Before 1970, before integration, all the bus drivers were married. And the female did not give a damn how much money you made.
Right.
God says in the Bible that the love of money is the root of all evil. You're not supposed to marry for money. You're supposed to marry for love and duty, you see.
Oh yeah, well, you understand that, and I understand that, but sadly, many don't understand that. Shout out to my man Cody Marsh. He said, Coach Kalish, I'm glad you mentioned trades, because I'm a CCMA in trying to get in the medical field. That's a certified medical assistant, I believe. Shout out to my man Cody Marsh.
Oh, lucky person, you got the number right, because you are talking to kids a dynamite, pure dynamite.
They use archetypal men like Themis to talk about black male issues as it relates to heteronormative masculinity. And I got a problem with that, because this man, his worldview is not encompassed by traditional heteronormative black men. But yet you want to speak on men issues. And this man said that, he'd say he don't talk about his sexuality. But it's obvious he's very feminine.
That ain't no man, that's a sugar booty. Like the brother on the panel said, that's a sugar booty. That ain't no man. That's a man that he thinks his backside has a vagina on it. So he can't possibly represent no kind of man. God say in the scripture to delete effeminate men. And that's why Cynthia G brings on an effeminate, because that's the only thing she can control. She can't handle no real man. A real man would chew her up yum and spit her out.
Right.
Tear her behind up.
Right. Well, I'll let God. Well, we ain't gonna delete nobody. I gotta be careful what I say. But I know what you. I know what you're saying. But
right.
But I gotta be careful. But anyway, let's finish. Listen, hold tight.
Worshippers. Do you think they're deeply insecure about whether the men will stay if they become better?
Absolutely. And they're rightfully so, because what have black men been demonstrating? It's already a statistical fact that the more money they make, the higher their position and socioeconomic status is, the less likely they are to marry black. All black women know that. They know about the starter wife phenomena, that you will build him up, and then once he gets to a position he wants to, he'll leave. Kanye even put it in the song. Once he get on, he'll leave, ask for a wife. Everybody in the community knows this. So if black men do not excel, if they don't elevate, then they stay right here in the bottom caste position, and then maybe they'll stay loyal to black women. And that's a silly notion, because they're not loyal anyway. Even they bummy and not loyal. So it's just, but I really do think they feel that way. Absolutely.
Gotcha. She might be trying to dethrone Pearl. She should. Well, no, that's
a perfect example, though. That is a perfect example. A perfect example. Is that situation.
Yeah. Since Iyanla wrote those books, she's called Black Women Scallywags. She don't like us no more. She's for the thing, and she for kings only. She there's an unwillingness, I think. Thank you for her to like.
But see, but you know what? You know what I find problematic. Even though Iyanla is an old school ethnicist, she's a lot more logical. She still is an ethnicist, but she's old school ethnicist. But somehow, when she take a position based on fairness, they say she's taking black men's side. I mean, it's foolish, man. Shout out to Robin Sanders. I don't know if that's a he or she. Let's be honest. Even if these women marry a bus driver, blue collar, they will still disrespect him. I totally agree. And he said, I got my passport, no doubt.
Hello, lucky person. You got the number right because you are talking to kids. A dynamite! You're dynamite!
So we'll see it. I put the EBT video in the chat. All right. I don't see it.
And turned it into something else out of the context of our original conversation, which didn't even have anything to do with dating. So for those of you who are just turning in, welcome to the R Spot. I am Iyanla, and this is a very special episode of the R Spot because we're live today on Facebook, YouTube, and I believe IG or Twitter. So if you're at work hovering over in the corner to listen, I want to thank you. Let me share how this is going to work today. For the first hour of the R Spot, we're going to, in our time together, I want to continue the conversation that I began when I was a guest on the Griot with Ebony Williams. And believe it or not, we were not talking about dating, but that show went viral. And I'll tell you why in just a minute. Then, listen, in the second hour, I'm going to open the phone lines and ask you the same question that I asked Ebony. Would you date a bus driver or a cab driver or grave digger? And why is somebody in a blue-collar job considered less than? And people are talking about I want black women to lower their standards. I'm even talking about dating. So can you hear and do you listen? Because that's a very important quality in a relationship.
This is disingenuous. What do you mean you weren't talking about dating? I don't understand.
I watched the whole thing, and the whole thing was focused around black women showing up as masculine in these interactions with black men, and then it shifted to them requiring way too much. Even though Iyanla didn't even really answer any other questions, though, and it's because she didn't have the answers. Just like Umar Johnson didn't have the answer, so he just starts screaming out she hates black men. So I mean, it's the same thing.
This is the problem that I'm having. The reframing and saying it is not about dating. I'm not telling you to lower your standards. I'm not telling you to settle. While saying those things is odd to me. Like it creates this very specific disconnect for me, where it's I am not about to have you hold me accountable for telling you to lower your standards, but also lower your standards.
Yep. And you having a high standard is wrong, but I'm not telling you to lower your standards.
But black men can't have high standards. What's wrong with the standards of black men, Terrence, and then Peaceful Life? Go ahead. Under 1 minute. Keep the question short, man. Answer short, man, for both of y'all, because I want to get through this video. But go ahead, Terrence.
What's wrong with the standards of black men is they get to exercise their manhood, and Cynthia's a nut cutter. She wants to cut the balls off of a man, and this society wants the black man emasculated. If you don't believe me, just look at the example of who's that played in Rocky III.
Michael B. Jordan, I believe.
That the dude next to him, the dude that played with him.
Major.
Yeah. Major. Yeah. What? I
know what you're talking about. Majors. I can't think of his name, but go ahead.
Yeah. Jonathan Majors.
Jonathan Majors, right.
See how they effeminized and emasculated him and had that man swinging roses and opening his legs and having lips like he wants to kiss on and suck on a man and putting pink flowers on over his shoulder. So that a black man, it's illegal for a black man to be a man in America. Article 1, Section 2, Paragraph 3 of the Constitution calls us 3/5 of a human being, 60% of a man, 60% of a human being. And this sugar booty homo on up here with Cynthia G. Cynthia G is famous for calling, that bald head bitch is famous for calling for the deletion of all black men. She wants to see all black men dead. If he's any kind of a man, why would he be in her presence and entertaining somebody that wants to see him dead? He's got to be the biggest damn fool and the damnedest big fool.
Right. Ingram, real quick, brother. Under 1 minute. Go ahead, brother.
What refers the question, my brother?
Man, hell, I forgot, man. I said, what's wrong with the standards of black men?
Well, I think the standards for black men are too low, personally. Because the reason why women like Cynthia G is be able to run her mouth the way she is and act the way she is because black men have low standards. And because we live in a matriarchal culture, the standards are being determined by the women. and we have so many of our boys raised by these single moms out here, they're really, really, really suppressing masculinity as evidenced by Exhibit A on the screen. So this is what the mentality, the mindset is, and she is like that powerful matriarch who's dominating the conversation, and it's almost like watching two women talking on the screen.
Right.
No, I totally agree. Hold tight. Let me finish real quick. Hold tight.
I consider inmates. I'm tired of y'all.
Relationship, whether you're dating a bus driver or a CEO. I want to know if the way of the world today is about transactional relationships, what you can give and get, what you can do for me, what I can get from you. Is that where we are? Is the way of relationships in the world today about loving with conditions? Or are we willing to accept a good person with good ingredients and do the work?
Didn't she just point it out that she had a ton of conditions even for the bus driver she would date?
Yeah, she did. She did have her conditions, and then Ebony had her conditions too. Your conditions was that he loved his mother and he has integrity and a good character. Ebony's conditions was that he owns the bus. What is the problem? I don't understand it.
Like, can we get past conditions? And wait, what do you mean? You literally just highlighted your conditions. Like,
and her other condition was that she keeps a stash of her money on the side because she understands that if you date down, you have a risk of losing your wealth to the person that you dated and married down to, and she would have to have a prenup, so he can't have access to her wealth. So Iyanla is full of it. She's not trying to build with anybody. You're not building if you're keeping your wealth separately. You're hoarding your wealth on your own. You're protecting it, not building. You're just allowing this man to be in your space and take up time when he really doesn't deserve it. And the reason I'm saying that is because I've been there, I've done that, not married them, but I've been in relationships with men where they make less money, and it is not a situation that you want to be in. It's just really not. They are going to become insecure. They are going to become jealous. They are going to start devaluing you, and they are going to start exploiting you in any number of different ways, but they are going to.
Yeah.
It's not an if, it's when. Or they will.
She sounds like a woman scorned, man.
She's telling herself. She's telling her story.
Right. She sounds like a woman scorned, man. Definitely sounds like a woman scorned.
Shepherd had the nerve to, I think this is about Ebony. I don't know what CLW means. And she paying alimony to two. Wait, she's paying alimony to two. The third time is a charm, I guess. Again.
I mean, look at Mary J. Blige. Do you think Mary J. Blige right now really wants to be working and acting on power? Or do you think she would prefer to retire and have her money to herself rather than having to pay somebody who cheated on her, violated their union, but because...
But you guys notice that when a woman cheat on a man and violate their union and take all his money, alimony, and child support, it's not a problem. But when Condu Adams did the same thing, that she's supposed to keep her money. But when men say, I want to get a how can I say it? Get a prenup, then it's a problem. Right. But when they say they want to keep their own prenup, then you see the contradiction and the selfishness. I mean, it's appalling, man.
They have no problem with men dating or marrying down either. When men marry any woman that make less than him, it's not a down situation. If you're talking about equality, then what is it? What is it for people like that marry women that make a fraction of what they? Obviously, we know men value certain things in women. The difference between men and women. The problem is this: they're still looking at things through the lenses of them being valuable in terms of what men value, and they don't consider that men value virtue. And none of these women, including her, is bringing any virtue to the table. Most of them,
she has an exaggerated self-value,
right?
And an
most
exaggerated
of them they're just dealing with used box and bad attitude. Really, that's all they're selling.
Right. Kosher, you know who Cynthia sounds like on here?
What you sound like?
She and Steve Harvey are the same person. Both of them are relationship failures. And they bring their raggedy ass out in the public trying to give some advice as a failure. That's like going under the bridge and asking the homeless people for investment advice. They're not qualified to speak on a damn relationship. Steve Harvey done lost $30 million and had 3 divorces. What the hell is he going to tell somebody? Why is he opening his mouth? This female has, I think she's had a baby deletion and don't know man want her. Right. Why is she on here? What? She ain't qualified to give a dog, cat, or a rat some damn relationship advice.
Yeah, well, displaced aggression at its finest. Hold tight. Displaced aggression.
She filed for the divorce, and because she decided to marry down out of love without a prenup, she now has to pay a man who violated their marriage and who literally is the cause of the demise of the relationship. She still has to work to pay him.
Famous, I saw Mary J on stage. Well, let me leave Mary alone because I actually really do love Mary. But yeah, no, she is, and even what's her name? Wendy Williams. But Wendy Williams is attempting to get out of paying, so I'm just watching and seeing how that works out. But yeah.
Let me tell you, Wendy Williams' attorney was very smart to put the clause in there that if Wendy Williams' agreement says that if she's no longer working, she no longer has to pay that alimony.
Period.
He's already tried to go to court. He's already tried to go to court and make it where she has to pay. And her attorney said no, because written in disagreement is that if at any time Wendy Williams becomes unemployed, which she is right now, then she does not have to make these payments. So he won't get money out of her because she protected herself.
Can you imagine having to pay your ex-husband who cheated on you and have a baby and living with the that will.
I can imagine me getting the goon squad. I can imagine that, but no, not me paying him.
No. If he doesn't marry her, the alimony is going to keep coming unless Wendy can get out. And Wendy is fighting, and I'm here for it. You also need to interview a bus driver. Nobody has asked them how they feel about all of this. Well, I can interview Petty. I
want to talk to a person who works in human resources who hires the bus drivers, because I want to know what their resumes look like. What do their educational background have? Are these some people who have been caught up in the system? I want to know the type of person, the profile of the people who are bus drivers. I bet you it's not.
What's your relationship resume?
Is Sherry Shepherd? I'm not Googling this because it's going to make me annoyed. Is she paying alimony to 2 people? So she married. She did it.
I heard that she was 2, yeah. Not 2 people, but I've heard that she was.
I know one. I knew one, but I didn't know. I hope it's not 2. That sounds like you didn't learn the first time.
Yeah.
Well, you did a great meal. So in the second hour, I want to talk to you. If you have a question or a comment or a perspective, you'll be able to call me live at 775-307-7768. But don't call now. I want you to call when you can contribute to the context of the conversation, because what's happening out there in the world right now, I ain't had nothing to do with that. I don't even recognize it. So let me start here for those who don't even know about.
So starting with Terrence, in under 1 minute, guys, keep it short because I got to get through this. And then Peaceful Life. What's your take on Iyanla Vanzant? Is she the less of the 2 evils? And then Peaceful Life. Go ahead, Terrence, real fast. Under 1 minute. Under 1 minute. Go ahead, brother.
Lesser of the 2 evils between what?
When it comes down to her philosophies and her ideologies on the greater conversation between black men and black women.
Do you know Scheherazade Ali, brother Kosher?
I know who she is, yes.
Scheherazade Ali in the 70s talked about a lady that came to her office every day.
Yeah, I know the story. I know the story between the 2. Right.
Yeah. Iyanla Vanzant copies off Scheherazade Ali. Mm-hmm. And what do you want me to compare her to?
No, I'm just saying she's an old school ethnicist compared to these radicals now. What's your take on between the 2?
She gives good advice, but it's incomplete. Right. Because she doesn't want to credit the source. That's why I brought up Scheherazade. She learned everything from Scheherazade, but she's stolen her knowledge and is trying to try to portray to the public as if it's original thought generated by her, and it's not. So she gives good advice. Sometimes she's sometimey, and that's why she wasn't able to maintain her show. That's why she quit giving black relationship advice, because she got frustrated because she doesn't give credit where credit's due, and she doesn't acknowledge the source of her material. So she ran out of energy, and she ran out of spunk, she ran out of power, she ran out of gas.
Gotcha. Peaceful Life, real quick, man. What's your take on Ms. Vanzant?
Ms. Vanzant is just a woman that realizes she's a professional woman, realizes that feminism has failed. She has enough logic, and she's old. She's past her, her days of relationships and mating, right. And she understands that all of her ideas and mentalities and all the things that she grew up believing was complete lies, but she can't totally accept it. But now she's experienced some level of loneliness, and people start seeing the world the way reality.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I totally agree.
Yeah.
The conversation. Ebony K. Williams asked me to be a guest on her show on the Re-Up to discuss a statement that I made. Shout out to Ebony and all of my AKA sorors. I made a statement on the Breakfast Club. Shout out to the Breakfast Club. And Charlamagne and DJ Ebony, don't be on nationally syndicated radio and television telling people I'm old. I heard you. I had my ear on you. The word is elder, not old. So there. But the comment that I made on TBC was about women demonstrating and manifesting more masculine energy than feminine energy. And Ebony gave her experience that she can't trust that a man will show up. And that's why she feels many women have this masculine approach. When in today's world, I'm experiencing more and more women who operate from the intellect, which is masculine, rather than the heart, which is feminine. And that does not mean that we can't be bus drivers or own bus companies or be truck drivers or boxers. It doesn't mean that we can't sleep with whomever we choose. What it means that is that as a feminine expression of...
Then did you hear that foolishness? Once again, they still want traditionalism, but she said it doesn't mean that we can't sleep with who we choose. And guess what? They can't sleep with who they choose. That's fine. But it's a consequence for a masculine traditional man to want a woman that's chaste and have some level of virtue. These women talk what dichotomous thought because old school traditional men, I know Terrence don't, I know you don't, Peaceful Life. You don't want a woman's been with a lot of dudes, man. That's how we just wired. Wired like that.
I'm a passport bro.
Right.
A brother gotta have his passport. It's not an option no more.
Right. But to hear Ayana, as old as she is, talking about, the women of yesteryears told women to respect their virtue because their virtue was part of their value. Just like a man's virtue was part of his ability to provide and be a potential leader. But now, to the 33% of men that are virgins, what are they getting? If Ms. Von Zanten is saying that you can sleep with who you want to sleep with. And that's why they're
getting hoes. Our women have been turned into hoes.
Man.
Well, the outcome right now is that so many more of them. That's why you see them on the internet all the time, bitching and moaning and complaining about dating. Nobody's approaching them anymore. Nobody's dating them anymore. Nobody wants to marry them anymore. The marriage rate. We just saw David Bridal go out of business. And Zales is complaining about sales on jewelry and diamonds.
And ain't no more love songs being made.
Right. Love songs.
Right.
Look, I put out a missing person video on Love. I put the milk carton on the thumbnail and everything. Love has been missing for a while, man. We got looking for a body. At this point, we're looking for a body.
Right.
The reality is that the problem fundamentally is that the customers or the consumers who are men are rejecting you, checking out. They rather fly 8,000 miles away from you to get away from you.
Right.
So it's not even an issue. They're rejecting the unattainable man. These men are not even trying to come at you. Like men are, they're just like, maybe for a pump and dump or drive by at 1 a.m. in the morning to maybe enjoy a little bit,
Here you go, brother. Ejaculate, then evacuate.
Right. But they're not trying. Dudes ain't trying to boo up with these women anymore. They're not doing it. I mean, they'd rather just check out and live by themselves and enjoy life and enjoy peace. Peace is beautiful until maybe they go overseas and come back. Right. But they're not getting with the Cynthia G's of this world anymore.
Right.
A few months ago, I met a female. Mm-hmm. I said, "How many kids you got?" She said 11. I said, "How many baby daddies you got?" She said 9.
Wow.
I said, so what you want in a man? I want him to be loyal to me and only me. Now, I can't make that up.
No, you're telling the truth, but the delusion is unreal.
God's source creator. We as women carry and anchor a certain energy, a heart energy on the planet. And that energy is purposeful. The energy of forgiving grace, of compassion, mercy, caring, nurturing, nourishing the earth and people on the earth. And that's a tender energy, a nurturing energy that somehow gets lost.
Notice how, and it seems like in the Black community, they see every behavior that Black women engage in as masculine, except being the breadwinner of the home, going 50-50 with a man, or being in a relationship with a man where she makes more than he does. How is that not masculine? How do we not see that as masculinity? It is masculinity.
Because it has been, the consensus is that it is not about what you do because they need you to provide. It's about how you do it. So you need to submit while providing. And I see you need to be not overt in stop talking about your degree. You need to not talk about that which you've earned. Don't do it, just do it behind the scenes. And
this dude is a poor excuse for a man. He not understanding that submission has nothing to do with if from a biblical mandate. That's why I tell men, and shout out to Terrence being a passport OG and Peaceful Life. But in other cultures, the women just submit to their men because they respect the men. And God ain't said nowhere in the Bible you got to make 6 figures in order for a woman to submit. But that's why I just tell men, just focus on yourself, man. Stay single. Love yourself. Don't get caught up in this foolishness because these people are deranged and they're delusional. And if you're a traditional, heteronormative masculine man, your chances of getting a traditional woman in the West is very slim. It's very slim. But go ahead, Peace. Go ahead, bro.
Well, I'm sure that Mexican guy that's crossing the border have no problem with his wife submitting to him, or anybody in any of these other countries that work regular job. They don't have these issues because femininity is supposed to be a woman's nature, just like masculinity is supposed to be ours. But the fundamental problem we have right there is what market is this guy representing? He's certainly not representing the heterosexual market. So why is he even talking in heterosexual business? Since the women that are going to be listening to this are looking for heterosexual men, and he is not one. So what market or what opinion does he have? What business does he have in our business? We don't go over there to his business, but he's projecting into our environment, and when he's he's almost competition for those women. He's looking for a good man too. So that's just it doesn't make any sense.
Right. And you remember in culture, you remember in the 70s, you remember Tammy Wynette or whoever it was, white women have a song, Stand by Your Man.
Right.
Stand by your man. And like somebody pointed out, Black females are the only group of females that do not stand by their man. We see the Mexican man. I've seen the Mexican man on the bus stop in 110 degrees outside. His woman is right there with that baby standing out there with him. That woman will go pick oranges with that man and not complain. No complaints nowhere. But Black females, modern Black females now, the worst females in human history. And that's why they hated Kevin Samuels so much, because he pointed that out and he pulled it out of him and he showed it on screen. And they urinate on his grave and celebrated when his passing. Because why? Because he told the truth about him.
Yeah. I believe a lot of our women have been compromised. Let's go ahead and get through this so I can end the show. I got to go in a minute, but hold tight.
Yes, sir.
That's what it feels like. The idea of submissive provider keeps coming up in my mind. And I feel like that's what it's being told. Like, it feels like they're saying, well, we know he can provide, so we're not going to make providing masculine, but we definitely going to make talking about it masculine. We definitely going to make...
But providing is masculine, though.
Yeah.
Literally, in that Moynihan report, it described the basic fundamentals of manhood as being able to provide for a woman and a family. That's literally how they define the bare bones, the starting point of manhood. And manhood and masculinity is essentially just characteristics of men, if I'm not mistaken. Being a provider or making more money than a man is a characteristic of a man. That is masculine. It just is what it is. Now, they can ignore the fact that that's masculine because it caters to Black men's position in society, but it's masculine nonetheless. You either want women to be feminine, which is where they're not being the breadwinners and providing, or you want them to step into the masculine. And if you're giving them okay to step into the masculine and be a provider, go 50-50 with a man, then you need to stop saying that they're showing up masculine. You want them to show up masculine, but only to the benefit of Black men.
Yeah, so that's my problem. If you're going to believe in patriarchy, believing it fully, don't tell me anything about no esoteric nothing, because I don't know about that. The providing and protecting is concrete. If you think men should be
But you guys notice they set the template for what men should do, but what are the women doing? You never hear them saying what a woman should do, how a woman should conduct herself. The woman can have all the liberties that she wants. She can be a whore, she can have kids out of wedlock, she can do everything she want to do. But when it comes down to the man, Demuth is trying to tell the man what a man should be. Right. And that's the problem that I have, because it's not balanced. You're always talking about what a man should do and be, but you're not talking about what a woman should be. Go ahead.
And kosher, it's not our choice in the society. We don't have power in the society to determine whether a female is in her feminine or in her masculine. That's left to the powers that shouldn't be. That's called social engineering.
Right. I totally agree.
We don't control the American body politic or the socioeconomic landscape of America. Right. White men dictated that to her, and Black females accepted it. We didn't dictate that. Right. We didn't send her out in the workplace. We didn't ship our own jobs overseas.
Right.
And feminize the job market and turn the whole job market into a bunch of nurses and secretaries.
Right.
White men did that to destroy the Black family.
Right. And what people don't understand on top of that, man, there were oligarchs. I'm not going to castigate all white men, but there were men in high power and high places to play the role, like you were saying, Terrence, and separating the Black collective. Go ahead, Peaceful Life. You about to say something. Go ahead, bro.
Well, what I would like to ask Themis there, our male representative, and Cynthia OG there is, what is a man? Is gender a construct, or is gender a biology? Because right now, the big debate in the Black community and globally is what a man really is. Right. And if they can't answer that question, how could they talk about manhood and masculinity, since they haven't really even decided in the community, as we can see from this conversation, of what a man really is.
Right.
So how can we talk about manhood and masculinity when you cannot even define? I would ask Themis, what is a man to you? Is gender a construct? And let him answer that question, since he himself probably has certain tastes or desires in his own heart, and he doesn't represent manhood and masculinity, as in what women value.
I totally agree.
Masculine, I'm with you. Let's start there. I don't want to hear nothing else. Let's start at providing and protecting. If you can't, then you're feminine. If you like, the reality is you are right insofar as they don't want to say what is really happening, because to do that would be to call out the people she is trying to defend, even if she doesn't say it overtly. Because you're defending men's mediocrity right now, and I don't like it.
Oh
Exactly
my
what she
God.
is.
Yeah, I'm with you there. She named characteristics that Black women use, is that we are the shallow ones, no smoke for the shallowness of men. Like, how do you vet for certain kinds of character? You can definitely look at his bank account. I feel like at the same time they're telling you to vet, they're telling you not to, and that don't make no sense.
Yeah, they're telling you to choose better, but lower your standards.
Yeah.
Like, really?
Choose better, but definitely don't look at income. Choose better, but don't look at educational achievement.
Right. This is silly. It's so silly.
However, I also acknowledge, because of the way women are educated, programmed, and conditioned in today's world, because of our experiences and our familial and intimate relationships, our feminine energy has been distorted, denied, diminished, and dishonored by us as women and the world at large. That was a conversation, okay? That somehow has gotten lost. And as an alpha woman, I recognize that I am an alpha woman. And I understand how and why I shifted more into providing and protecting, driving rather than being driven. I understand why it was difficult for me to nurture from my heart, to teach by tender, gentle demonstration.
If you don't have a driver, you are going to have to drive. If you want to get to somewhere and you don't have, it's not a matter of I need to switch my third eye on and I need to manifest my being so that I can create and not build. All of that esoteric stuff that could be meaningful, maybe it is meaningful. I don't fully understand it, but practically speaking, if you don't have a driver and you need to get from point A to point B, you are definitely going to have to drive that car, because you manifesting someone to come drive you, not going to make them come drive you. If you don't have someone there to drive you, you're going to have to drive. If no one is providing for you, you're going to have to provide for yourself. If no one is protecting you, you're going to have to protect yourself.
All right. I'm gonna stop a little bit right here, and we're gonna end the stream in a minute. But I think you guys get the gist of how Themis causes more harm than good to the greater conversation around heteronorm to Black men. When you think about being compromised, peaceful life, and then Terrence, then we're gonna end the stream. In what way, peaceful life, do you believe that our women have been compromised? And then to Terrence, go ahead.
Well, the first problem is that our women have been compromised because they have this notion and this mentality that their academic achievement and social status equates to value in terms of what men value. It's almost kind of sad and just depressing to listen to them talk about hardworking people, a man driving a bus or anybody working a job that's blue collar, as mediocre. I mean, what race of people or any culture out here disrespects hardworking, honorable people? We're not talking about a thief.
Right.
We're not talking about a criminal. Right. We're talking about a man that gets up every day and goes to work as mediocre. And I think that's a sad state for our community itself. And that's just to show how out of touch our women are with reality. And those same men that she's talking about, one day you're going to need those men. You see, right now we've created a world that's so soft in this country. Right, you're going to need those men to fight. You're going to need those men to protect you.
Right.
And they're going to remember these conversations.
Remember the conversations, right. I totally agree. Terrence, go ahead, brother.
Yes, sir. We have this book that everybody's familiar with called the Bible. Mm-hmm. And it opens up with a story about Adam and Eve. And Eve. And Eve listened to the devil, took the devil's advice, and turned her back on God and her man. You cannot find a better description of the modern Black female. And God, in that story, God gave us a description of what we're looking at and dealing with the modern Black female. If you read Willie Lynch, who's the greatest social engineer ever, he said, to destroy the Black family, you reverse the nature, reverse black people's nature, turn the male into a female and turn the female into a male. And the problem is our females have been completely destroyed and ruined because they have eaten the forbidden fruit in the middle of the garden and have let white men turn them into a man. And now they're the man of the black community. We have to destroy the gynocracy where the females rule. In the 1960s, we had a 90% marriage rate, and we had something called a black community. And we used to have these things called fathers that don't exist anymore. What happened? Integration is what happened. The greatest vice is not alcohol. The greatest vice is not cocaine. The greatest vice is the white man's advice, which was for the woman to come out of the house and go into corporate America and be a man. When we had a 90% divorce rate, today, what do we have? We have a 90% divorce rate. But in the 60s, we had a 90% marriage rate, excuse me. And what's the proof of our women being destroyed? That 90% divorce rate is equal to the fat rate of black females. 90% of black females are fat, and 80% of those are obese. Our females are bigger than a man because they have been turned into a damn man, and they can't grow any hair anymore because they're masculine and manly, because a man's hair is short. And so they spend $30 billion a year on fake hair, on this ugly fake hair, and they go get blonde weave in their hair to show that they want to be a white woman. And what has led to our destruction? In the 70s and 80s, we went from a 90% marriage to 90% divorce because we got hit by a nuclear bomb called crack cocaine, CRACK, crystallized rocks aimed at community killing. And this nuclear bomb of crack cocaine from Los Angeles, Californicate to New York destroyed every black community. And we don't want to deal with that. And until we deal with that, the problem will not be solved. And in the crack cocaine era, it made the black man become a crack smoker, and it taught the black female to fall in love with the crack broker. Before crack hit, black females loved regular guys with regular jobs, driving regular cars. Right. They didn't care how much you made. Right. A $10,000 a year salary was fine.
Right.
When we had a 90% marriage rate, $10,000 a year.
Right.
But with crack cocaine, just go look at the video "High Roller" by Ice-T, and rap videos that crack dealers love and live by teach the female that she needs to have a guy with shiny car, shiny rims, shiny jewelry, and shiny clothing. Before crack hit, females didn't care about none of that. Most females didn't even drive a damn car. They didn't need status clothing. They didn't need status housing. They didn't need all these status symbols. They didn't need what this show, you remember the show called Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous? The females didn't have this list of demands that they need a guy making X amount of dollars. Why?
Right.
Yeah, because the love of money is the root of all evil.
And once again, man, like I said, the guy from the group, the Dynamic Superiors, as I said earlier, he was an effeminate man, and he talked about the scarcity of money and this so-called. When he came out, Ingram and Terrence, he was openly gay, man. But even that man had enough sense in the 70s to understand. He said, "Shoe shine only costs a dime. A nickel could get you plenty." But he said, "I'm not going to try to tell you lies." You know, he was talking about sometimes the rain is more than the sunshine. But you got chicks now, overweight, ran through, kids by other men. Terrence, you and Ingram, we were from Gen X. Terrence, you might be a boomer. I don't know if you're Gen X or boomer, but I don't know. I don't know. I say Gen X. Gen X or boomer. But anyway, my point is, you guys remember a time when women were a lot more graceful. They didn't have these exorbitant standards, and they understood what men wanted. But you know, this whole inflation is killing. Whole inflation killing the market, man. It's killing the market, man.
It's outrageous out here. And social media is really fueling.
Let me tell you.
Go ahead, Ingram, then
No, let me
Terrence.
tell
Go
you
ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead, Ingram first, and then Terrence. Go ahead.
Well, the problem fundamentally happened is when everybody became visual on social media. And I think I heard Maggie, the substitute teacher, said one time, it's very hard for men to compete with the attention that women get from this, artificial world of reality, because now her pool of eligible or pool of gentlemen has now expanded across state lines,
to the whole
country,
world.
to the whole world. So you could have a bust down, beat down chick, broad, 304, or recycle or rebrand, get up on social media, and that box is worn out. She got some mileage on her, and she knows you got a whole bunch of skeletons in the closet. You know her personally. But if 20 simps get in her DM all day long, tell her how beautiful she is, that's why they post all day long. Let me tell you something. Inspirational quotes is the thing to do these days, because sometimes they post 20, 30 times a day, even on my Facebook page. And I know these bust downs. So that's what they do to get self-esteem. And everybody like. That's why we say we have social media has become a situation where you have a lot of sad people with happy pictures. Behind closed doors. And that's why the price of box has been artificially inflated, because even a bust down thinks she needs a guy making six figures or $150,000, because they're getting their validation from an artificial world of a bunch of, I blame these simps. I'm really hot with these simps, but they're getting their validation and they're getting their fake self-esteem, and they've created a whole world that they can cope with. I think, to be honest with you, if all the internet and social media was to crash for 3 months, the bridges would be lined up with mass deletions. People, big fat women flying in the air, hitting that damn water at 100 miles an hour. Big broad just hitting that current.
Right. Yeah. And all that comes from the gynocracy.
There'll be mass jumpers. The state police will be on these bridges. They'll try and redirect people around these bridges, because there'd be people jumping off the Ben Franklin. What's the bridge down there in North Carolina, the tallest bridge? You have these big broads jumping off these bridges. You have these 304s, these baby mamas, these they'll be taking these bridges. If social media was to go down, we'd have mass self-deletion. There'd be an epidemic. It'd be an epidemic.
Right. Go ahead, Terrence. Go ahead, brother.
What you're really saying, Kosher, when you compare and contrast the females from the 60s to the females to today, the females from the 60s, they had some humanity to them.
Right.
These females today have lost their humanity, and they've become monsters of the society. Society has the gynocracy and the feminine empowerment and women's empowerment has destroyed them. And all that stuff was built up to destroy the power of the black man and to destroy the black home. And it has done a perfect job.
It's done a perfect job. Yes, sir. I totally agree. I actually got a show coming up, man. I'm showing the metamorphosis of the woman from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and then the modern woman. And I got a powerful show coming up. Peaceful Life and Terrence, man. I might bring you guys up on that one if I don't do it solo. Yeah. But it's talking about the metamorphosis, man. And the metamorphosis now is crazy. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Coach. Guys, I want to say this for you guys too. Is that don't think it's only just black men that is catching.
You're right. It's not just black men. White men catching it too.
Let me tell you, I just came from Thailand, and trust me, in those bushes in Thailand, there's a bunch of white dudes hiding out. I found them. If the missing white guys that you were looking for in America, I found them in Thailand. They're in them bushes with me. So I'm being honest with you. There's a whole lot of white guys from Germany, from all over Europe that are in Thailand, and they ain't leaving. Sorry. And there's a lot of brothers out there too. I'm not promoting anything. I'm not suggesting anything. I'm not saying that anything is better than anything. But what I'm saying to you is this. The white man himself is catching hell. And that's why he's in Thailand. That's why he's in the Philippines. That's why he's in Malaysia and Cambodia.
I saw him in Gambia, Africa.
Them dudes you go to Gambia, you think you're discovering something new. There's a white dude in the bushes. Like, whoa, yo, what are you doing here?
Who let you in?
Like, honey, wherever you think you're going in this world, there's a white dude hiding up, man. I ain't going back to body. I ain't going back to. Most of the conversations I had in Thailand were with old white dudes from England, Australia, France, Germany. Those dudes was cool as hell. Kicked it, good conversation, kosher. That's where they're at. And there's dudes like in places you'd be like, you think you found something new. You ain't discovered nothing. You can go in the back bushes of Africa. There's a white dude there.
Yeah.
Believe it.
No. I agree, man. And yeah. I talk to them all the time in session, man. I talk to them all the time in session. When I talk with men in session, white men they're catching hell just like black men.
They getting hell.
But like Tavis Smiley said, when white America get the cold, black America get the flu. We just got it worse, man. And it's being manifest sadly in a lot of our women. And my man, official GZ, he's right. Marxism is a hell of a drug. It's definitely cultural Marxism. It's all about design. Read Saul Alinsky, Rule for Radicals, The Naked Communists. The book tells it all, man. And they can't even see it, man. And we have these conversations because some brothers still have a love, but to the single man, like Peaceful Life, and I don't know if Terrence is single or not.
Yeah, I'm single.
But I don't blame you guys for staying single, man, to focus on yourself, man. The market is horrible, man.
Yeah.
It is horrible, man. And for guys that got sons, I feel sorry for them because they're not getting nothing quality, the majority of them.
It's raw sewage out here, bro.
Right. And I don't see it getting no better. But then when you got guys like this dude, parenting the talking points. Hold on.
Become the person who protected yourself and your child, which she's going to explain later.
But then they have a problem with black women saying that they don't, or the notion that black women don't need black men. But then they're like, okay, well, you should settle for a man who can't provide for you. You're making more income. God. He can't do what you can do in a society where he has the advantage as a male, but you should still run around and say that you need a male. You recognize that if you're sitting here telling black women that they need to settle for a bus driver, regardless of what their income is, then you recognize that they're in a position where they absolutely do not need black men. It just is what it is. Yeah. And if not you, there wouldn't be such a hard push to get black women to not have these expectations.
She's going to try to say her and her.
These chicks are delusional, man. That dude Themis is on his channel right now talking about. He said, hold on. He said black women are the ish. And listen, let me say this. I don't have a problem if a woman's a good sister. She's she's been raised right. She's traditional. She love and respect her man. Those kind of women, in my opinion, a dime or a dozen. But to the average woman that don't have no self-awareness, she's masculine. She got a lot of trauma because Cynthia G got a lot of unresolved trauma. Ebony Williams got a lot of these women are living through the traumas of their mothers, man, and they transmit that brokenness to black men. But more or less, man. If a woman meet the requisite standards and that man say this is what I want, then I don't have a problem with that. I think there is a percentage of good sisters that are left. I think the percentage is very minute, but it's just so appalling when you got subpar women like Cynthia G thinking her pharaoh looking ass is going to dictate to men what they want in a relationship. It makes no sense. She looks like a pharaoh, man. But you gonna dictate to a man what he should get in a woman. Go ahead, Peace of Life. We're going to end the stream and then
the first thing is I think Themis himself is doing this show from a bathtub full of pancake syrup, first of all. And then you have an issue with Cynthia G. If this is so, and these women are so outstanding and wonderful, why aren't men from other races leading the charge
lining up
to get these wonderful, successful, elegant black women? The reason why is because they're irritating. And nobody wants to live with a ball buster. Men wants to live in peace. Men love living in peace. And that's what's valuable to men. But we have no problem going to other countries, going places, and the women are happy to have us. Yep. So we don't have a problem getting women of other cultures and other cultures. Even black women that are overseas in Africa appreciate brothers that come from the States. Many of them. Yes, nothing is perfect. There's no utopia. There's some scams. There's some exploitation. All that stuff goes on. But generally speaking, black men, we're not having any problem. We're not complaining that we can't meet
not complaining
other
at
women
all
of other races. No problem. Leave black men alone, and then tell us we'll go get somebody else. We'll get another black woman from another country. Just leave American black. That's the simple solution, because ain't no other man that's coming for Cynthia G and them.
Right. I totally agree. Right. Just leave us alone. We're dusty. We're bus drivers. We're lanes. We got to make them happy. Right. Just go get someone else, man. Because if I was a single man, I'd definitely be happy. Because I sure as hell, if I got another sister, if I come find one here in America that met my standards, my next one would be from Africa or South America. I wouldn't even look at.
I'm sure Thamus is not coming to the rescue because he's floating in pancake syrup right now. You know what I mean? He after he done with this show, he going to the bar to go sing some YMCA. He ain't worried about them sisters. He out of there. He's like, oh man, I'm done with that. He going down to the bar. He gonna get on that. He gonna wash that. He gonna rinse that pancake syrup off his ass. Right? He going straight to the bar. He's out of there.
Go ahead, Terrence, real quick, man. We're gonna wait the stream, dog.
Yeah, that ugly bald head bitch Cynthia G has the nerve to call black men conquered by white men.
Right.
And all she's doing is she's reading whatever script the Ku Klux Klan hands her.
Right.
She's a black Ku Klux Klans woman because we as therapists know that she's psychotic. She's climbed the ladder. She started out idiotic, then turned neurotic, and now she's psychotic, meaning that she's lost touch with reality because of a trauma done to her by a male. And so that trauma done to her by some male in her life has her walking around as an open wound, and now no black man is no good.
Right. I totally agree.
R. Kelly said one bad black man will make a woman hate all men.
I agree. I see. Right. I mean, and you got some. To be fair, you got some broken brothers too, man. You got some brothers that are extremely broken. I'm not one to paint a broad stroke. Do I think there's a percentage of good sisters? I think it is. But sadly, most of them have been indoctrinated with so much liberal indoctrination, man. Right. It's hard to find them, man. They're hard to find, man. They are hard. They're hard to find, man.
You got to worry about the coalition too. It's not just them. You're dealing with them and a coalition of them that are just some angry hyenas. Because even if she is a good sister, she has the sabotage, the sabotage people.
I call it the welfare queen club. The welfare.
They hate men so much. Even if one of them get in a good relationship, they're gonna do everything in their power to sabotage that relationship. So for black men, it's not even worth dealing with that stress. Just escape that stuff. And I'll tell you right now, like I said, the white men that she talks about so much. When you get to places like Thailand, the Philippines, other places, they're waiting in the bushes. Say, "Come on over here, brother." Them broads is murdered. We trying to hide from them too. They're running from.
We've been waiting for you. We've been looking for you.
Like, what took you guys so long?
So long.
But anyway, I'll leave it at that, man.
All right. Anyway, guys, we're gonna sign off. But Terrence, I think you remember this woman, Shirley Brown. Hold tight.
Now you see, I don't want no trouble now.
Women like Shirley Brown back then say, "I love that man." We don't have that anymore. I'm so grateful, Terrence, and Peaceful Life, that you and I grew up in a generation when there was love music. There were groups like LTD, Love Ballad. There were groups like Blue Magic, like the Stylistics. Even though
and hair grease.
Even though I wasn't familiar with the dude, the Dynamic Supremes. He was definitely flaming. But I will say. Even then, man, I'm just honored that they came from Gen X, man. You and I and Terrence, I think we were the last of the generation that saw normalcy, man. I don't know what this mess is now, man. Because when I look back at the songs, man, back then, the songs resonate. Even in the 90s when we had Anita Baker, man. Anita Baker, I Apologize, and you had the gospel music was better. But
please, Mr. Postman.
Right. I don't resonate with this culture now, man. I don't resonate with it. It's weird. Up is down, down is up, and you got guys that are aiding with a woman that hate that's believe in male infanticide. But at the same time, like Ingram said, he probably is competing, even though he says he don't talk about his sexuality, but he's probably competing with her for men, man. So it's a crazy world, man. It's a crazy world that we live in. You know, I'm just so glad, man. I grew up in a generation when things were normal, man. But anyway, we signing off, guys. Thank you, Terrence and Peace. Thank you for coming in, guys. I got some more fire coming up in the future, guys.
Peace out,
we'll
brother.
talk. All right, brothers. Y'all be good, man. All right.
All right, brother.
All right. All right, guys. This is like my man said, this is definitely the real, the last generation. I agree with you 100%. And guys, we're about to sign off. Thank you guys for tuning in on tonight, man. I think, I was going to do a little longer, man, but it's sad I didn't get a chance to do it. But anyway, guys, we signing off. And guys, take care of yourself and get you some rest. And once again, guys, we are signing off.
Fire! Kosher Clinician.
If it ain't seven, it ain't kosher. Heaven and hell, that's what they told you. Real men put the strap down and we can toss them. Young heads picking back up and young dolphins. This is our culture. Now we talking kosher. Clinician, masculinity issues. Asking fathers who miss you. Mama drama don't kiss you. All a part of the ritual. This is how they get you. Separate the men, women clipping babies pretend to. Damn. Lovers, haters acting like vultures. If it ain't seven, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, ain't right, gotta divorce us. If it ain't seven, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, ain't right, gotta divorce us. If it ain't seven, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, ain't right, gotta divorce us. This is kosher condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is kosher condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is kosher condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is kosher condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. Listen. Listen.
Are you a victim of brokenness and despair? A broken man is a hopeless man, and a hopeless man is a very dangerous man. Many times, many of you young men that are listening come from homes that are very toxic and very dysfunctional. And because of that, many of you have deferred your power in many ways to the point it's led over into your social life, and many times led over into your relationships. If you guys are dealing with mental health pathologies, conscious and unconscious, come see me at kosherclinician@gmail.com. That's kosherclinician@gmail.com. It's important that you deal with your mental health in order to be a better person for yourself, your loved ones, and also your community. But because mental health is often stigmatized, many of you often suffer in silence. Don't be a victim in silence. And see me once again at kosherclinician@gmail.com. And I need you guys to remember this. If it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, it ain't right. There are 7 steps that a man must go through in order to become an optimized male. And male mental health is one of those elements that's paramount to the functioning of a man. Be well.
It's not my fault. You've been lying, saying that I took away your peace. Drowning by yourself, now you wanna blame me. Like you have no options. I ain't take your options. Nah, I'm not the problem. Man, that's on you, yeah. You've been terrorizing me, yeah, I'm always wrong. I knew you lost your mind when you dropped that bomb. Girl, are you crazy? Yeah, you must be crazy. I've been thinking lately it's you. stole your peace, put it on me, but baby, it's you. Lie like a ride, but take your stuff back, baby, it's you. Whatever, and I would never. Yeah. You've been flexing everywhere, girl. Look in the mirror, man. You so dirty. Yeah, you look so dirty. You were never worthy. Lately, it's you. You stole your peace, put it on me. But baby, it's you. Lying like a ride, but take your stuff back, baby, it's you. Baby, it's you. If I control the weather, then every day would rain on your parade. Shine, you can't share it, yeah. If I was Father Time, then I would change the day. So I never saw your face. What do I have to do to make you go? Oh, baby, it's you. It's you. It's you. It's you. Walk out that door, no, yeah.
tried to count me out, I'ma gon' count me in. Fill up my bank account, now I got something to spend. They tried to count me out, I'ma gon' count me in. Fill up my bank account, now I got something to spend. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I just pull it out and count for nothing when I'm feeling great. Give my baby little more just to spend it, and I'm always on go, I don't hesitate. Used to always know I make it, yeah. I'll be me until I'm in the grave, yeah. See my record, had to set it straight, yeah. I make to kill like 10 times 10. I got wires coming in, some in euros, some in sec, some in dollars, some in yen. I've been trying to keep my zen, keep my cool. Trying to keep the family fed, get my food. They tried to count me out, I'ma gon' count me in. Fill up my bank account, now I got something to spend. They tried to count me out, I'ma gon' count me in. Fill up my bank account, now I got something to spend. Did it, do it. I did it all, no gimmicks. I did it all, no civics. Now I got all these children, now I got all these clones. Now I got all you twinning, now I got all you thinking like all you winning. They tried to count me out, they tried to fill that doubt. They tried to ride my wig, they tried to knock me out. They tried to count my wins, they tried to show my L's. They tried to make me in, they tried, but where they now? Where they? Step in the spot and they stare at me. All of these battles were bare made. I swear that nothing compares to me. Feeling blessed, I won't stress. Beat the odds, you know the rest. They tried to count me out, I'ma gon' count me in. Fill up my bank account, now I got something to spend. They tried to count me out, I'ma gon' count me in. Fill up my bank account, now I got something to spend.